This is a segment I do where you could send in videos and different things to watch videos together. So now, hold on. I'm going to need to do some quick optimization for everything to work properly. Let me just pick this out here. Bluetooth settings. Yamaha right here. We're going to add the Yamaha. Alright, that should... That's not doing it. Let's figure this out real quick. Okay. Rakai, what's going on? Welcome to the chat. We're just figuring out some glitches going on with the with everything.
And in some of them, he even uploaded legal documents belonging to himself and his parents as a desperate attempt to prove that the people in the story were real. From there, the trail spread beyond Instagram. His Facebook account and X profile were filled with the same desperate pleas going back as far as 2018. And according to people who had been following his situation, he had also been directly messaging strangers with the same request for help for almost 2 years. Eventually, some users also found an art account connected to him, where he often posted dark and disturbing drawings with captions that use phrases like "destroy fascism" and "socialism is fascism," along with frequent references to the same cannibal restaurant. Because of this, one of the first theories many people landed on was that the entire thing was an ARG attempt gone too far. An ARG, or alternate reality game, is basically a fictional story told through real-world platforms, where creators use social media accounts and online profiles as pieces of the narrative. So, from this angle, Kaike's post could be read as a horror project that began with his art and then slowly expanded into something much harder to separate from reality. But that theory had one major problem. If this was a performance, it was an incredibly strange one. There was no clear puzzle to solve and no satisfying reveal waiting at the end. Instead, it was just Kaike repeating the same accusation with a level of commitment that made it feel like something he genuinely believed was happening to him. And that left one uncomfortable possibility open.
So,
what if he wasn't trying to create a horror story at all? What if he actually believed every word of it? As strange as the phrase cannibalism restaurant sounds, the idea isn't completely unheard of in Brazil. Because just 8 years earlier in 2012, 3 people were arrested in Garanhuns in the Brazilian state of Pernambuco after the police accused them of murdering at least 2 women, consuming parts of their bodies, and using the rest to make stuffed meat pies that were sold to unsuspecting customers. And what made this case even more disturbing was how ordinary the operation looked from the outside. According to the police, the pies were sold even to schools and hospitals. Now, on its own, this case had no apparent connection to Kaike's story. But it did make Kaike's claim feel slightly less impossible than it first sounded. The problem was that beyond the accusation itself, he never provided anything that actually proved what he was saying. And when people tried to approach him directly for more information, his answers didn't make the story any clearer. For instance, when a Reddit user DM'd him and asked about the supposed espionage, all he got back were fragmented responses like, "They're torturing me, it's an evil organization, it's because they're evil." He sounded terrified, but every attempt to get a clear explanation out of him circled back to the same handful of words.
How am I sounding, guys? Am I sounding good?
And that's what made the website link he had been attaching to his public posts and comments this whole time so important. Out of everything he flooded the internet with, it was the one piece of information that could actually be checked. But when users followed the link, it led to the website of a hospice and rehabilitation center. When entered into Google Maps, it takes you to a medical facility called Baramid Support House. The building itself looked completely ordinary. Nothing about it pointed toward the kind of horror Kaike was describing. Even the Google reviews described it like any other care facility, with patients and families praising the staff for their attention and support. And these details changed the entire shape of the mystery. Maybe Kaike wasn't exactly lying. Perhaps he had been a patient in this medical center at some point, and because of some kind of severe paranoid psychosis, he had come to believe that the doctors and caregivers around him were not treating people, but harming them. It would explain why his story never produced any solid evidence, while also explaining why he seemed so genuinely terrified every time he repeated it. But as believable as this theory sounds, it has one major problem. Nowhere on Baramed's website did it describe itself as a psychiatric facility or somewhere that treats severe psychological disorders. Their service seems to be directed mainly toward elderly patients. This makes it less likely for Kaike to be a patient at this medical center. But after spending more time with the details of this case, I started to notice something that I haven't seen anyone else point out. Kaike's posts always mentioned two things together: the cannibalism restaurant and the claim that his parents had been kidnapped. And in some of his most desperate uploads, he posts his mother's government-issued identity card as proof that she was a real person. At first, that seems like a strange thing to prove. Nobody was questioning whether his mother existed. But Baramed is a continuing care facility. It's the kind of place where families admit elderly relatives for long-term treatment. And if Kaike's parents had been placed there by other family members and he didn't understand or didn't accept that decision, then everything about his story starts to look different.
Okay?
In his mind, his parents hadn't been admitted for medical care. They had been taken against their will, and the people looking after them weren't doctors, but something far worse. It would explain why he posted the same address hundreds of times and couldn't give a clear answer when people reached out to him. And it would explain posting his mother's identity card for the world to see. He believed someone had taken her and no one around him was doing anything about it. Either way, both theories still rely on the same foundation: that Kaike was mentally ill and that his paranoia had gotten severe enough to twist a normal care facility into something horrifying inside his own head. Unfortunately, there is no way to confirm any of this, because at some point after the story started gaining attention online, all of Kaike's accounts went dark. It's possible that the people around him or someone who knew him eventually stepped in and got him the help he needed. But until Kaike himself resurfaces or someone who knew him comes forward with an answer, this is where the case stays. On April 1st, 2009, a YouTube channel named Bobby Joe Blythe 007 uploaded a strange video titled "Jesus Taught Me." It was old, blurry footage that was clearly transferred from a VHS tape and recorded in an entirely different era.
It was taken on 13 December 1984, about 7 p.m.
At first, it didn't get much attention and sat on the channel with almost no views for weeks. But when it finally caught the attention of viewers on martial arts forums, it quickly became one of the most disturbing pieces of footage to ever surface on the internet. The video opened inside a small karate dojo in Dumfries, Virginia, where a thin, soft-spoken man had apparently walked in off the street and told the people inside that he'd been trained in martial arts by Jesus Christ himself.
This guy, like I say, he's a priest. He's a 10th degree red belt. And who'd you say promoted you to 10th degree red belt?
Hello!
Okay. Now, a claim like that obviously suggested the man may not have been in a normal state of mind, but he never came across as aggressive. In fact, he was even clear that he didn't want to hurt anyone, and that he only intended to demonstrate what he had learned.
I won't brag or anything of that nature, but I can demonstrate. Okay, demonstrate on him. Well, I won't demonstrate on him. I will demonstrate around him.
The other two men in the frame were the owner of the dojo and one of his students. Both were Marines. And once the man finished explaining himself, the owner told the student to face him. Despite the man repeatedly making it clear that he only wanted to demonstrate, the interaction turned violent almost immediately. And even as he tried to back away, the student continued attacking him while the owner watched and let it happen.
Don't do that anymore. No, just don't do that.
Testing. This is a test amongst speaking.
I'm not a fighter.
The situation continued to escalate until the man was badly hurt and lying almost unresponsive on the floor, while the owner told the others to drag him out. The video then cut to the camera focusing on the floor, where a trail of blood led to the exit of the dojo. And according to the description beneath the video, the man was later found by police officers inside a dumpster behind the building, strongly insinuating that he had been killed. But neither the footage nor the description made it entirely clear whether the man had actually survived what had happened to him or not. And that was what horrified everyone who came across the video. So once martial arts forums got a hold of the clip, it spread fast, and people started trying to figure out where it had come from. The first major clue was the username of the channel itself, which led viewers directly to Bobby Joe Blythe, a former US Marine and the same man who appeared to be giving orders in the video. As for the dojo, it had been a storefront in a shopping center in Dumfries, Virginia. By the time the video appeared online, the place had already been shut down for years. These details only made the entire situation more difficult to explain. Because if this footage actually showed a brutal assault, then why would Bobby be the one to upload it to YouTube decades later? Maybe, in his mind, what happened in that room wasn't a crime at all. When viewers went through the rest of his channel, the videos gave a much clearer sense of the kind of authority he believed in.
We don't tolerate this from nobody in our domain. We, black belts, this is our place.
Testing.
We can do what we want anytime we feel like it.
Testing.
And feel free as anybody could be in this world.
I am speaking, and
in
this
your
is a
place,
test.
This is yours. This is your dojo. No one treads on your territory. We can do anything we want. Just school can. So we're liberal. If they come through that door.
We're trying to push it to its limits, but it's not going to let us.
Had built inside
We have a
his
limiter.
dojo.
That's
it would
awesome.
explain how a badly wounded man could be dragged out the back door without anyone in the room treating it like something that needed to be reported. Naturally, viewers began contacting local authorities and sending them the footage, believing they had uncovered evidence of a crime that had somehow gone unnoticed for decades.
Test.
But just days later, Captain Ronald Mackey of the Dumfries Police Department released a statement that seemed to shut the entire mystery down. According to him, the victim had survived the attack and had been interviewed by police after the incident. On paper, that should have been the end of it. Except, the explanation started falling apart as soon as more details came out. Another official who was a retired police detective named Chuck Feldbush also claimed the man survived, but his account made the investigation sound far less thorough than the department's statement implied. Officer Chuck said he personally knew both Bobby and the victim, describing the man as a homeless guy who lived in the woods near the dojo. In his own words, "You could tell he had been beaten severely, but he wasn't very cooperative and didn't want to pursue charges." But if that was the entire basis for closing the matter, it also meant that the police never really conducted a proper inquiry into what happened inside that dojo. More importantly, it made the official claim that the victim survived almost impossible to verify.
Police say smoking meth is illegal on my planet, but we're not on my planet, are we, SpongeBob?
We're not SpongeBob.
Could have easily
We're
died
not.
days later from untreated injuries
We're
without
not.
anyone noticing. And since none of the
We're
officers
not.
involved could even remember his name, there is no way to trace where he went after that. Searching for hospital records and missing person reports from the area
You and
doesn't bring up
Atari
any
video
matches.
music.
And with no more leads to follow, people online started looking deeper into Bobby's background instead. According to several sources, Bobby's dojo may have attracted more than ordinary martial arts students. His background as a former Marine reportedly
How I
brought in
sound right now,
bodyguards,
Chachi?
other Marines, and
sound
possibly even
good?
local police officers. If that's true, it could explain two things at once. Why the response from the local authorities felt so strangely muted, and why Bobby felt confident enough to post the video publicly in the first place.
Sound good.
And if both of those things
Thank
are
you,
true,
bro.
they
Appreciate
point
that.
to a simple but uncomfortable possibility. That the case didn't go anywhere because the people responsible for investigating it were too close to the people involved. But that is where the facts end and speculation begins. There is no direct evidence proving that local officials deliberately buried this, and nothing about the case directly indicates that Bobby was protected. That said, without the victim ever being clearly identified, it's impossible to prove or
Just
disprove any
struggling.
of these theories. Which is also why, despite thousands of people online trying to dig through the footage from every possible angle, there has been no meaningful development to the case over the 2 decades since the footage first surfaced, leaving the entire mystery trapped between two possibilities. Either the unnamed victim survived one of the most brutal assaults ever posted to YouTube, then vanished back into a life where no one could find him, or the video really did capture the final moments of an unidentified man while the people who could have helped him decided to look the other way.
Damn. Sad shit.
On June 16, 2016,
Happens to
a
us
security guard in
sometimes.
Utah
Sad
picked up
shit.
something on an old AM radio that would go on to be one of the creepiest pieces of audio in recent internet history. The guard's name was Cody Erickson, and at the time he had been working a swing shift at a bank management building somewhere in Utah. Inside the
Sent
security
you something
office was an
crazy
old
to put
AM
through the
FM
Atari
radio that
video.
belonged to his supervisor.
Oh,
And
yeah?
since Cody had already finished his
Send
tasks
me
for
here,
the
I'll
night
check.
and was just waiting for the next guard to come in, he started turning through the AM stations to pass the time. Most of what came through was exactly what you'd expect from an old radio late at night. But then, somewhere between a sports station on one side and an old music station on the other,
this real?
Cody heard a woman crying. He tried adjusting the dial multiple times, hoping to pull the signal in more clearly. But each time he moved it, the broadcast either faded into static or got buried underneath one of the nearby stations. Still, what little came through was disturbing enough that he pulled out his phone and started recording. In the audio, the woman sounded like she was pleading with someone to leave her alone, and at one point, she mentioned 2 children.
Yeah, the up just bounced back from the zombie apocalypse.
The signal continued wavering in and out
Just
throughout the
bounced
recording,
back
with her
from the
voice
zombie
rising and disappearing
apocalypse.
beneath the noise.
Alright, I got you. Hold on, let me see how much longer this video is. Some pretty fucked up audio we got going on.
It is real mayo.
Yeah, this is real, which is making it more disturbing.
And then, right at the end, the static cleared just long enough for another voice to come through and say something that nobody has ever been able to agree on.
Man.
To most people who heard it, the words sounded like, "rip her apart."
It's a mock-up of if you were channel surfing in the zombie apocalypse.
After this, the broadcast cut out completely. Cody later checked that same stretch of the dial twice a night over the following
We're gonna
days,
do that.
hoping to hear
We're
it
gonna
again,
do that.
but the voice never returned. So
I'm gonna get that from you on Discord, and we'll queue that up for after this video.
Might be able to figure out where to come
We're gonna
from.
do that.
The first and probably the most comforting theory that the internet came up with was that the recording was just a scripted performance. The reason is that AM radio isn't as predictable as FM. Depending on where you are and how late you're listening, the dial can pick up all sorts of broadcasts, including old horror dramas and detective shows. So, according to this theory, Cody could have simply tuned into the middle of a fictional scene, and the crying woman was just an actress, while the distorted signal made the performance sound a little too real. Some other users also suggested that it could have been a drive-in movie theater leaking its audio into the radio. For those who don't know, outdoor theaters often transmit film audio over short-range radio so viewers can listen through their car speakers, and that signal can occasionally bleed onto nearby frequencies, which would mean what Cody heard was nothing more than the climax of some horror film leaking out of a transmitter somewhere down the road. But while both of those explanations make sense on the surface, they run into two problems. First, over the years, no one has been able to identify any piece of media, including audiobooks, films, radio shows, and horror dramas that cleanly matches the phrases heard in the broadcast. And second, most modern drive-in theaters tell customers to tune into an FM frequency, not the AM band Cody was listening on. So, while a movie or radio drama is probably the easiest explanation to accept, it still doesn't account for why the source has never been identified. But probably the biggest reason people struggled to believe the performance theory was that the crying didn't sound staged. It didn't have the rhythm of an actor waiting for a line, or the clean emotional arc of a scene written to build tension. It sounded broken and uneven, like someone who was struggling to hold themselves together. And this led one Reddit user to suggest a very different theory. According to them, the recording may have come from a call-in radio show, possibly one where distressed callers reached out to a church or counselor for help, and the woman might have been crying while describing something terrible that had happened to her in the past. This would also explain how the final line might have been misheard. Instead of "rip her apart," the voice might have actually said 4 years apart, which would fit much more naturally into a conversation about grief or family trauma. But without the name of the original program, there's no way to verify this theory either, leaving the mystery exactly where it started. Unfortunately, there's a much more chilling possibility of what the audio could have been. Maybe Cody was listening to something that was never meant to be broadcast. Some users pointed out that the audio could have been a leaked signal from a baby monitor nearby. Older baby monitors and wireless security cameras are known to transmit on frequencies that nearby receivers can accidentally pick up. And while that alone doesn't explain every technical detail of Cody's recording, there are real cases where this exact kind of stray signal ended up exposing something deeply disturbing happening inside a private home. For instance, in February 2004, a man in Milwaukee installed a wireless security camera in his home. And while he was flipping between his own cameras, his receiver accidentally picked up a signal from someone else's house. On the screen, he could see two young girls standing with their arms raised above their heads while a woman in the room appeared to be hitting them. When the man contacted law enforcement, police confirmed that his receiver was likely picking up a cross signal from another camera within a radius of about 75 to 150 feet. Similarly, in another case from the Czech Republic in 2007, a father was watching his own baby through a video monitor when the device suddenly picked up a stray signal from another home nearby. It showed a young boy tied up on the bare floor of a room. After the father reported what he saw, police traced the signal to a house in the neighborhood, where the child was found bound with duct tape, severely dehydrated, and being watched over by a video camera. So, with cases like these on record, the idea that Cody's radio caught a stray feed from a monitor or a camera somewhere nearby isn't easy to dismiss. And if that's what happened, then what he was listening to may have been an act of domestic violence, or something much worse, playing out in real time. Unfortunately, without the original broadcast ever being identified, the mystery can't move past speculation. All we really have is a short 2-minute recording of an old radio in a quiet security office. And unless that source is ever found, we may never know whether Cody captured a piece of fiction or something far more real that was never meant to be heard.
Oh my god.
On May 1st, 1995, a University of Arizona student named Brian Hance was flipping through the campus newspaper, the Arizona Daily Wildcat, when a strange full-page message on page 16 caught his attention. The page was filled with mathematical symbols, scientific notations, and historical references, including an image of Martin Luther surrounded by formulas and cryptic diagrams. At the top, it carried a simple title, Mayday 1995. At first, Brian didn't think much of it, assuming it was either an invitation to some college fraternity or some secret club. But this assumption would be proven wrong over the next 2 years, because every year a new version of the same kind of message appeared in the paper. The pages blended mathematics,
Are you watching this on vertical right now, Chachi? Are you still there?
Figures, scientific diagrams, and fragments written in Latin, Greek, Hebrew, German, and other languages. Some even included musical notation or hand-drawn illustrations. Others referenced philosophers, theologians, and pivotal moments in history. By 1997, Brian was working as the web administrator for the Arizona Daily Wildcat, which gave him access to the paper's entire archive. So he spent days digging through decades of old issues, and what he found unsettled him.
Of course, I am watching this on vertical.
First, these cryptic pages weren't new. He found
a lot of people love my vertical streams. It's kind of late, so I'm sure a lot of people are in bed. The verticals have been doing crazy though, bro.
Newspaper for years, no one at
I gotta catch you on Discord one day. I want to play some Steam games with you.
Through a lawyer,
got a lot of good stuff. I mean, not really a lot of good stuff, but I have some stuff.
Everything, Brian created MaydayMystery.org.
I have a cool PC.
And began archiving every page he could find, hoping that if enough people looked at them together, someone might finally crack what they meant.
Mainly Minecraft,
you'll find that although every issue brought a different looking puzzle, some elements kept repeating. The first and most obvious was the hand-drawn smiley face, which over the years had become something like a signature or logo for the person or people behind the mystery. A small, smirking man with 2 dots for eyes and a sly grin tucked into the corner of page after page.
That's some bullshit, though, about the discs.
Also appeared
I want you to remember, though, that this is so funny that this happened literally right after I got a PC.
It's a German word that means recurring theme.
I saw it a million years. I saw it, though, like,
exactly what these advertisements
I saw it a decade ago.
At first glance, it's easy to dismiss the archive as the
and honestly, I didn't think we would go this far.
That has been debated for years on the internet. But after combing through dozens of them, there are 2 reasons why I don't think that theory holds up.
I don't know.
For one, the advertisements
not
are
happy about it
detailed.
though.
They pull together mathematics, history, religion, science, multiple languages, maps, and recurring symbols in ways that stay surprisingly consistent over decades. Then there's the money. By 1997 alone, dozens of Mayday advertisements have already been published, and new ones have continued appearing almost every year since the early 1980s, with smaller updates being released in between. A full-page ad in the Wildcat can cost hundreds of dollars each time, which suggests that whoever was behind them had both the financial resources and a long-term commitment to the project. For years, the identity of the people behind these advertisements remained a complete mystery.
If purchasing doesn't mean ownership, piracy isn't a crime.
It wasn't the anonymous
exactly,
author,
bro.
But the man who had been submitting
and that's
the
why the
advertisements
PS5
to
emulator's coming out soon.
A Tucson attorney named
all
Robert
the homies
Hungerford. Brian first learned about Robert after unexpectedly receiving an email from him. Robert
on the
confirmed
PC
that he acted as the legal representative for the
since
people behind the
Rockstar
advertisements.
does not
Yet,
give
despite
a
acting as the middleman, he consistently refused to reveal who his
about
clients
Rockstar?
actually were.
It is Rockstar. They could have fucking put the game on disc.
Not hard fiddle DD. Being a pirate is alright with me. Do what you want because a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
Postmarked from Las Vegas and routed through Pakistan, some containing foreign
not
stamps and Middle Eastern coins.
Really wanted to get
After
that
he fell
game on
behind
disc.
website updates because he was sick, he even received a Get Well
Now,
card.
In a
None of
couple
these
years,
messages were openly
we're not going to be buying
threatening,
any
but they made one
PlayStation
thing
games
clear.
on disc.
Whoever was behind the Mayday mystery knew exactly who Brian was.
I'm just
and
not
they
going to be
paid
buying any
attention to his
PlayStation games.
investigation. And this
Basically.
naturally shifted all the focus towards
I'm going to
Robert,
buy the next 2 years of
because he
PS5
wasn't a random
releases, get
attorney.
Wolverine.
He had studied at the University
Next
of
couple years of
Arizona,
releases,
earned a doctorate in theology,
and
became a member of
that's it.
Mensa, the highest
No
IQ
more
society in
PS5.
the world, and reportedly spoke several languages, including Dutch, German, Greek, Hebrew, Latin, Russian, and Spanish. So, when you compare his background to the advertisements with their theological references, historical figures, and multilingual fragments, it becomes easy to understand why people began to suspect he was more than just the lawyer.
That's
There's
a
one more
good thing to
detail that
say,
makes the
but-
connection a lot stronger. If you pull up Robert's old University of Arizona
All I'm gonna
yearbook
say is if
photo,
it's not
he
for
appears to have
sale,
close-cropped
how can I
hair,
buy
the
it?
eyebrows running almost straight across, and a
That's
faint
it.
smile, all of which
Like a
looks
PS2
exactly like
game,
the little smirking
and
man
they don't
at the
sell
bottom
it,
of pages.
how can you buy it?
However,
Are
he's
you going to pay
repeatedly denied he was
$60
sole
from a
creator.
retro store?
Instead, he claims he was
on
representing
eBay?
an organization known as the Orphanage. In
Or
interviews
are
over the
you just
years,
gonna
he described the Mayday
download
mystery as a work
ROM?
of art, while also suggesting there was a real society
That
behind
choice
it
is up
who
to
dealt with
you.
future events.
I'm not gonna
He also insisted that
persuade
everything
anyone to do
needed to
anything they don't
understand the
wanna do,
mystery
but,
is already publicly available on Brian's website.
I know what
encouraging
most people
to pay
do.
particular attention to
We've
its
got us a
theological
map,
themes.
a map,
But if
to
the
lead us
orphanage
to a
is
hidden
real,
box that's
no
all
one
locked
has
up
been
with
able to
locks,
prove who they
with
are.
locks,
Over the
and
years,
very deep
theories
away
have
well
ranged
dig
from
up
a
the
political
box,
activist
the
group with
box.
roots in the Vietnam War era to an alternate reality game to a
None
massive
will
work
say
of conceptual
hooray.
art designed to reward only the most obsessive
Yeah, that song's
investigators.
gas.
Yet, none of these theories explain every piece of the mystery.
Yo, did I
And
tell you
it's
I
not
got
because
screwed
people
by
haven't tried over the
Rockstar
decades. One
and
young
Steam
woman once
support,
drove from
bro? They have
Phoenix to meet
fallen
Brian at a
through
cafe
for
in
me,
downtown
bro.
Tucson,
Well, let me
carrying a
tell
thick
you.
binder of
I told you the
research.
whole
She
situation.
believed the Mayday mystery
Steam
was connected
support
to the
told me to
Zodiac
hit
killer,
to
comparing
that they
symbols
couldn't
from
do
the
anything
ad
about
with
it. Like
ciphers and
Rockstar Games,
envelopes
whatever.
linked to the case.
They're Rockstar
Brian
Games,
heard her out,
and they're like,
but
"Oh, we
told her
can't do
he didn't
anything
think
about
that
it. It's
was
not
it.
your account."
And
And I'm
before
like,
she left, she
"But
told
it's
him
linked
she had
to
already
my
sent
Steam
everything to the FBI.
account where I
But
own
not every theory
your
was
game.
that far-reaching.
And I
One of the
can't
most
unlink the
interesting
Steam
clues
account
came
because
from an
then they'll
anonymous
take away my
contributor
game."
on Brian's website, who used the name Near a
Basically
Terminal.
fucked.
Unlike most people, this person seemed to understand how at least part
Fuck
of the puzzle
them.
worked. For
To
one
buy
of
the
the
game
earlier ads from the
on the Rockstar
1980s,
launcher, which
the
I'm not
person
gonna do.
pointed out that if you counted the
Just gonna get the key
brushstrokes in the
eventually
Chinese
and put it in.
characters, you got 24, and if you counted the
I'm gonna pay
letters in the
full
English
price.
word above them, rich
Once
meant
I get, like,
you got
sick of
8.
it.
Put them
Pisses me
together
off
and
'cause
you
I
get
wanna play cool
824
games on my
or August
PC.
24th. And sure
What
enough, the
happened?
next ad in the series had appeared on
My
August
account-
24th.
when I-
However, it
when I-
remains as one of the only
I'll pause the
times
video for
anyone
this
has
just so I
ever
can explain
produced a
really
clean,
quickly.
verifiable decode.
When I originally got GTA 5 on Steam back in the day, I must have logged in with a different email. Like, so I think I just typed in a bunch of gibberish or some shit. I don't, like a dummy, like a complete dumb fuck. Just want to put that out there. And so what happened is when you log in or when you buy a Rockstar game on Steam and when you open it for the first time, it links your Rockstar account to that, or your Steam account to your Rockstar account, the one that you put in, permanently. You can't unlink it. Well, you can unlink it, but it's useless because, number one, if you unlink it, you lose all your owned Rockstar games. You can't play them. Number two, you can't even log into another Rockstar Games account. So it's so useless. So it's basically like a big middle finger to like your whole Steam account. And it's like, what the fuck? And Steam nor Rockstar can do anything about it. And I've given Rockstar my Steam ID, all the information that they would need to have to make this work. But they refuse because it's not my account, yet I own it on Steam, and the Steam is my account, but it's linked to a Rockstar game account that isn't my account. That's why they can't help me. It's really dumb. So I'm screwed. There's no options for me.
Brian became convinced that Near a
Just had to let you
Terminal
know.
was somehow connected to the orphanage. However, even that breakthrough only cracked one tiny piece of one ad out of hundreds.
Minecraft lit?
And that is what makes the Mayday mystery so
Minecraft
unsettling.
Live,
Every
TJ.
time one part begins
Not
to make
tonight
sense, the
because we're
larger
still
picture
doing some
becomes even
patches
harder
to the
see.
mod.
On one
So I just
occasion,
ended up
Robert
doing a
claimed that the
YouTube
mystery
live
went
where I'm
back
going to be
even
doing
further
some
than the newspaper ads.
YouTube reaction
According to him, the
content where
first
we're going to
message
watch some
existed
YouTube
long before
videos.
1981,
You can send a link
in
if you want me to
different
watch some,
medium.
TJ.
He
Just send it
refused to
through
say
on the
what that
chat,
medium
and we'll
was,
copy it.
only
And I can put
explaining
it up
that the
there.
earlier
I'm going to watch
messages were
my the video
designed
my
so that
brother
someone
put
would
up,
have
but
to
then
be
if you
inside
want
the group to
afterwards,
even
put You could send one in.
Which means
yeah, you could just copy any video off YouTube, send the link in the chat.
Keep cutting in Steam tickets. One day you will get it fixed.
You think so? Because Steam won't help me.
Even after all this,
I tried. They said it's out of their power. I put in like multiple.
After more than
the first couple,
years,
dude, it won't let me put in Steam tickets for Rockstar games. It just tells me to contact Rockstar. So I put in a ticket for some completely unrelated thing to get access to them, and they still told me that.
Peck was on his way to Los Angeles for a job interview.
I just want that to be known.
He was at Van Nuys Airport, and if he got the job, it would finally allow him to move to California and marry his fiancée, Andrea Katz, who had been waiting for him in Westlake
It's fine,
Village.
I don't care.
But,
I'm just not going to play Rockstar games on Steam.
To reach the station.
It's really not a huge deal. I mean, what do they release a new game every fucking 30 years?
Resolved to this day. At around
TJ, you have a great day.
The Metrolink train he was riding
have a good night.
head on
Be
with
safe.
the Union Pacific freight train near Chatsworth, California. It was later found that the Metrolink engineer had run the red signal because he was distracted by his phone, texting just seconds before the impact, which led to 25 people losing their lives, and Charles was one of them. While that was tragic on its own, what happened afterwards is the reason Charles Peck's story would continue circulating online years after the disaster. Andrea was driving to pick him up.
Be safe, DJ. You have a good night, man. Always good seeing you.
She rushed
you take care. Sorry, I don't know if this content's too much for you,
still might be
but I apologize. But you be easy, and I will see you tomorrow,
after the collision,
or whatever. You know, next time we're live, but definitely
Charles's
tomorrow.
Son
We'll
received
live,
a
whatever
call.
game we were
It
on.
was from his father's phone. Over the course of that night, Charles's phone reportedly called his son, his brother, his sister, his stepmother, and Andrea. In total, his family received around 35 calls from his number. But every single time they answered, there was nothing on the other end. Just silence or a wash of static before the line went dead seconds later. And because rescuers were still searching through the scene,
I won't be surprised if they did release GTA 6 on Steam. Rockstar has been burning Steam for years.
But roughly an hour after the last call, rescuers finally located Charles's body deep inside
I don't
the
have an
first
option
train
anyways. I
tracing
can't
him
buy
using the
GTA
signal
6
from
on
his
Steam,
phone.
even if it is on
According to
Steam.
the reports given to his family,
then I wouldn't be able to
he
play
died on
because they're
impact
assholes.
before any of the calls were ever made. However, one detail didn't add up. Rescuers were never able to find his phone anywhere near his body. Now, for a lot of people online, there was only one way to explain that. They claimed Charles was somehow trying to reach his family from the afterlife. But as comforting as that idea may sound, even Charles's fiancée admitted it was something she held on to emotionally, not something she could actually defend. So if we set the afterlife theory aside, we're left with a much harder question. How does a deceased man's phone make 35 calls on its own?
That's the only reason I'm
The most obvious explanation is a phone malfunction.
Because you know you ain't gonna fucking own it.
In 2008, when phones still had physical buttons. So if the device was crushed inside the wreckage, it's possible that pressure, moisture, or damaged circuitry caused it to repeatedly dial numbers from Charles's recent calls or saved contacts.
And if it's bad,
at first, this theory seems to
then
answer
it'll be
two of the
covered
hardest
here
questions
first.
At once. It explains how the calls came from Charles's number.
The game is a total fucking dud.
And why
I'll be playing it live on launch.
The reason the phone calls eventually
the game's a masterpiece. I'll be playing it live on launch.
Switching through the phone book.
I will be telling everyone.
The moment you look closely, this theory
could be doo-doo. Who knows?
One single detail.
I mean, I choose to believe that it won't be. I hope
at random isn't
the whole entire industry may crash.
It would have hit coworkers, voicemail, or
a lot is riding on this.
Instead, every single one of those 35 calls went to a close family member.
I mean, like, I don't know how good Sony would be doing. Like, they've
pushes us toward a second, more
they're like betting
theory.
on GTA 6 to like
trapped
make
inside
more
the same
money.
wreckage, too
After
injured
all
to
their
speak,
bullshit.
found Charles's phone and scrolled through the recent calls, hitting one number after another, hoping someone would trace it back. But this still leaves two major questions unanswered. First, if a conscious person were calling for rescue, why dial the same 5 relatives 35 times?
Like, if
and never
GTA
once call
6 releases and
if someone else
bad
was using
game,
the phone,
or
why
it's
was
a
Charles's body the one found after rescuers traced the signal? And to no phone at all.
It's going to be
None
really
of these
bad.
questions disprove
I think
the
you would
theory,
see
but they
overall
do keep it from
consumer
being a complete
sentiment
answer.
plummet.
There's also
People
a
will
less
just,
charitable
a lot of
version
people
that
would
same
lose
idea.
interest in video
Instead
games,
of a
and I don't know
survivor,
what would,
maybe someone
I don't know
passing
what
by the
would
wreckage
happen.
picked up
It would be
Charles's
bad.
phone from the debris and started calling his family
Overall
as
console
a sick,
sales would
deliberate
plummet,
prank.
and
out of every theory so far,
the idea of a next
this is the only
generation
one that
would go
fully accounts for
totally
the missing
to the shitter.
phone. Somebody took
because
it
no
with
other
them.
software
It
or
doesn't explain
developer
the
is
fact that
even
the
pushing
rescuers
the current
located Charles
hardware
by
sets we
tracing
have
the
out
signal
now
from his phone directly
their
to
limit.
him. If someone really took
The only
it with
developer
them, the signal
even
should have led rescuers somewhere else entirely, not deep inside the
dauntingly
first train where Charles's
possibly
body was
going to
found.
push this
Which
hardware
brings
to
us
its
to the
limit
most
is
uncomfortable
Rockstar.
possibility. What if Charles didn't die right away?
So,
for that to
if
be
the game
true,
is
the
dick,
corner would have had to be wrong
like
about
if
the
it's a
time
shitty
of death.
game,
And at
Lax and
first,
Steam
that
Deck
sounds like
2.
a stretch. but it becomes a little less far-fetched
If
when you learn
if
that the
it's
officials
bad
handling
though,
this case had
I
already
don't
made at
know.
least one
I
documented
don't
error
know what
involving Charles.
Rockstar would do.
In the initial
Not
victim list that was
Rockstar. I don't know
released,
what
Charles
like a
was
lot of
listed as
companies would
58
do.
years old,
Xbox,
nearly
I think,
9
would
years off
probably
his
be
actual age.
really
Now,
hurt
the
because
mistake was
Xbox
shortly
needs
corrected,
GTA 6
and on its
too.
own, it
They
isn't
all
enough
need
to prove
GTA
that the
6,
coroner was wrong
but
about
with
when
the price
Charles
hikes,
died.
Xbox is.
But it
I don't
does
even know if
remind us
anybody's
that
going to
the
even
public
buy an
version of
Xbox
events
for
was
GTA
assembled in
6,
the
and I'm
middle
going
of
to
a
be playing it on
chaotic mass
Xbox.
casualty disaster where rescuers were trying to save lives, identify bodies, and
what funny
communicate with
times to
grieving
live.
families all at the same time. And without Charles's phone ever being recovered, there is
Once
no
the
way to know
GameCube
which
gets a
theory is
price
correct.
drop, I am buying one.
The GameCube, yeah, it desperately needs a price drop, but I think it's appropriately priced. I saw Linus's video when he used it as a PC, and it looked really cool. The thing is with me is like I'm not in the market for something like that. I think somebody like who was less load bearing may be in the market for something like that. Maybe down the line it would be a good server hosting device, but I'm not too sure. Oh wait, shit. Oh shit. So fucking long. Hold on, Chachi. I'm gonna go get your link again. Command C. Command V. Okay.
I want one for under my TV so I can get back into couch gaming.
Not gonna lie, I love my desk setup with my PC because I have a nice chair. And I kind of like gaming on my... I actually like my chair better than my couch. Now, Fortnite runs beautifully on my PC. Is this like art someone made? This is really good. Regular programming suspended. L's to the L's.
The government has declared that a national emergency is currently taking place. Please stand by for an emergency announcement, which will be broadcast shortly. This is 5. Her Majesty's government
this
has
is a
declared
mock-up
that
of
a
what channel
national
surfing would be like
emergency
in the
is
zombie
currently taking
apocalypse, so
place.
I 100%
stand
would
by
call
for
this
an-
art.
This is artish. This is like definitely art. This is sick. Where did my feet go? I just kicked it under my couch. No! From Cartoon Network. This is like old Cartoon Network logo. Alright, what's going on here?
I really wanted to see the analog distortion on the Atari video.
Oh, like the sounds of the distortion. Yeah, it handles it very accurately. Like if you put it into static on the radio, it does it. Makes sense. Some scary stuff, man.
This is an emergency alert from 5 which is being issued at the request
How
of Her
long is
Majesty's
this?
government.
Oh, it's not that much longer.
A few hours ago, both the BBC and ITV confirmed that they had lost all contact with their regional transmission centres located within the cities of Oxford and Bristol. Repeated attempts to re-establish signal relays or contact field staff have failed. All active units have been ordered to withdraw from the cities immediately.
This is like real though. Like
in the west
they
and
probably
south of
made
England,
screens like this in case the
military
relay
personnel
systems,
operating
like
in
on
affected
cable
zones
and
have now
shit,
described the
had
situation
problems.
as completely hopeless.
You know what I mean? It's probably what they
Evacuation
did.
And containment operations are
No
being
cap.
abandoned in favour of defensive perimeters. So 5 regrets to announce the official collapse of the cities of Bristol, Oxford, Bath, Swindon and Reading. These cities are experiencing total infrastructural failure, widespread civil breakdown, and the cessation of all emergency services. We have also received confirmation that the nation of Switzerland has collapsed.
Holy
Major
shit.
cities including Geneva, Bern, and Zurich are no longer responding. The Swiss federal government is presumed to be non-functional. To ensure the continuity of national leadership, the royal family has been evacuated from London and is currently being relocated to a secure facility in Inverness, in the Scottish Highlands. This is a pre-authorized...
Lights out, the great BBC power failure of 2000. That looks like an interesting video to watch.
Help support AMTV by becoming a patron, an AMTV staff member, and following us over on Twitter.
This is BBC One in the South East. Now the news at 10 o'clock with Michael Burke and Mike Embley.
A 100-mile-an-hour rail crash has killed 4 people, injured dozens more.
They make it all seem so simple. In the world of TV, we as audience members are more used to everything running just exactly as it should. Programs go out as scheduled, transitions between them are handled well, and news bulletins are delivered with a precision and ease that make the whole operation appear as a well-oiled machine. Most of the time.
Headlines this morning, Tuesday, the 24th of September.
MPs return to wherever it is today.
To share in the Severn Valley by thousands of acres.
Why have we got them? Don't change the bloody thing.
But maintaining television on the air, particularly back in the days of analog, was an exceptionally difficult task. Numerous things could often and would go wrong, forcing programs to be interrupted, or taken off the air entirely.
Be mindful of YouTube recs from me. I watch a lot of alt history stuff, so things that look very real but are not real.
Hell yeah, that's pretty awesome.
For the BBC, in the year 2000, an event would occur one summer day that would see the corporation's television channels and radio stations
this is
be
real
wiped
though, I
clean
think.
from the airwaves, without a moment's notice. As the world began to embrace the new millennium, the 21st century offered untold advancements for the world of broadcasting, and for television in particular. In the late 90s, efforts were already being made to introduce and prepare the UK for what would eventually be heralded as the digital switchover, where analogue TV, which had been a mainstay for decades, would be phased out to make way for a new, more reliable, more effective means of delivering television. This wouldn't happen completely until late 2012, mind you. And 12
so it
years
happened
prior,
after
the
for them.
majority of audiences still consume their telly through a good old CRT with a 4:3 aspect ratio. The 20th of June 2000 was proceeding to be a day like any other for those in the BBC newsrooms at Television Centre. The day's main stories were being meticulously studied and covered by the on-screen presenters. One of them was Hugh Edwards, and I'm sure we're all more than aware of what's been going on with him in recent years, but for the sake of history, the clips will be presented here as they were back then. Sometime before the 6 o'clock news,
what the hell that is.
The BBC began to experience its first serious troubles in regards to power. Fire alarms being set off around Television Centre, and near all of the staff being evacuated. Only a small team were allowed to remain to provide essential services, such as the news. As the 6 o'clock news begins, the prime time for such bulletins, Edwards informs audiences that the
If
BBC
TV
have been
broadcasters switch
experiencing
off
some
of
severe power
ADSC2,
problems,
0
with
that
even
may
a
kill
chance that
off any
things may
remaining
take a turn for the
CRTs.
worst.
Before I press on, another apology for the rather gloomy lighting.
Screw them.
Got severe power
You know what?
problems
They could
here
all
in
come in my
West
basement,
London,
and
so
I'll
if I
use
disappear
them
from your screen,
and love them
you'll know
and watch
why.
Despite
DVDs
the ominous
until I
warning,
die.
all seems to have proceeded as normal
Then
to
I
begin
don't know what
with.
happens
A
after
report
that,
was shown
but I
covering
could
the
use
Euro
them.
2000 football tournament.
That
and
is
the
sad, but you're not
hooliganism
wrong. I
displayed
think
by English
ATSC
fans.
2.0 may be killed
Honestly,
off.
nothing changes.
Or 1.0.
During
Was it
this
1.0?
report,
That's
suddenly
what I
cuts
still
out,
pick up with my
leaving
DTV
nothing
box.
but a black screen.
1.0,
No sound,
gang.
no sight. BBC One
2.0.
had gone dark. Why had this happened? Well, it turns out that the main generator did give out, but all is not lost, as a backup generator, situated at Television Centre, would kick in.
Crews were called as the BBC's own backup generator burst into flames.
The backup generator caught fire. Honestly, you can't make this stuff up. With operations at Television Centre now extremely limited to non-existent, action had to be taken fast. Control of BBC One and later BBC Two was switched to Birmingham, and regional news programmes were forced to start earlier than scheduled. Afterwards, repeats would be shown, such as an episode of Dad's Army, to try and buy time, and to get the schedules and the channels themselves back on track.
We've got more correspondence than anybody else.
Energy, patience, time, knowledge of the subject.
People want to be told what's going on in their world.
This is BBC News 24. I'm Gavin Essler.
BBC News 24, the still then relatively new 24-hour news channel, was completely off the air. No repeats, no regional opt-out. For those who could access it, they'd be treated to simply a black screen.
Oh my
After
God.
nearly an hour and a half of nothing, just as News 24 aimed to start back up again, things
So,
went down.
I've been playing
This time,
GTA
however,
San
a widescreen
Andreas.
version
I
of the
have
test
done
card,
everything you
known
can
as
do
Test
before
Card
starting the
W,
first
was
mission.
thrown up on
All
screen.
firefighter
However,
vigilante,
instead of music
taxi and
accompaniment,
ambula.
a caption was placed over it.
You
But I
own
must admit,
all of the
as someone
homes
with visual
before
impairment,
starting the
it's
first
quite tricky
mission?
to read.
Ow! Ow!
In the end, an already recorded bulletin was
That's
played
dope,
out to viewers.
that's
a
like
last-ditched effort whilst
a
attempts
ve-
to stabilise was still
You should have
underway.
documented
It's
that.
around
That's
9
like the
PM, nearly 3
Nuzlocke
hours
of
since the
fucking
initial
Grand Theft
outage.
Auto San
News
Andreas.
24
I can
decides to
buy.
broadcast the feed from BBC
Dude.
World, the corporation's free-to-air
You gotta
news
like
service
document
that
this as
broadcasts
like a
around
way to
Europe.
beat the game.
Eventually, a new live bulletin
Oh right,
begins,
because you can't go
now
everywhere.
based at the BBC studios in Westminster.
You can't go everywhere, right? I believe early on in the game, because it locks you down to like the first area. But there's still some pretty expensive homes in the hills over there, if I remember correctly.
We're broadcasting from our Westminster studios because of power problems in and around BBC
Is there?
Television Centre in West London.
I just
At
play
10
that game on
PM, a new news
PS2 when I
bulletin
want to
is
play San
broadcast on
Andreas.
BBC
I own the
One
disc.
and News 24 respectively, again from the Westminster studio. And after all of the initial chaos, by midnight, scheduled programmes across all the major channels were finally back in order again. Well, you can imagine what a frantic few hours that
digital
would have been for all involved.
bullshit.
As I mentioned before, technical difficulties are nothing new in the world of television. Even nowadays, they may be rarer, but they still can and do happen from time to time.
US politics now.
You have the good version of GTA San Andreas on Steam.
I do, you're right. And it actually doesn't force boot the frickin'...
Well, I'm
and
sorry
it
we're
doesn't
having a
force
problem
boot the
bringing you
Rockstar
power
launcher so
tonight.
I can
We'll
actually
try
play
and
it.
get to you as soon as we possibly
Worked.
can.
But for a
That
power
does
outage
actually
on
work.
this scale to occur, one that took out the BBC's operations
I
in
wish
such
I
a
had
quick
the
manner,
good- I had the
you can
good
only
version of
imagine
Vice
how
City and
devastating
GTA
this must
3
have
on
been to the
Steam.
teams at Television Centre.
Boo.
Whilst backup
They're
plans
such great
were in
games.
place, showing repeats,
Sadly, they don't
simulcasting
even
off of the
sell
channel's
it
feeds,
on
etc.
PC, but I'm sure you can still pick up a physical
You
copy.
need to mod it to fix everything.
Intended, particularly the
Yeah,
live news
I assume.
bulletins, especially crucial for News 24.
They probably made physical
But don't
copies
worry,
of those games
for those
on
who
PC.
wanted
I'd
to
have to
follow
look into
England's
that.
big Euro 2000 match against Romania, they'd find that coverage to be
Download it
unaffected.
and play.
This is BBC One.
Dodge, would you?
And as
What
I've
would you
mentioned,
do
I'm
if I
sorry to
started
say that we've been having
collecting
power
and
problems here at
using
Television Centre in
and
London, so we're
playing
running a few minutes early, but
physical
it does mean we can soak up
PC
even more of the
games?
atmosphere on England's big night in Charleroi in Euro 2000 as we join Gary Lineker.
England lost that game. Go figure.
I'd be like the
issue
last
was eventually
supporter.
tracked to a power substation in Shepherd's Bush, meaning not only were the BBC affected, but so were around 20,000 homes and shops in the area. I guess it goes to show that, like I said, getting television on air and maintaining it can be more difficult than you think, especially when your backup generator explodes. Like, honestly, I can't
Do they still
get
make
over
physical
that.
PC releases?
Whilst frustrating and embarrassing
Like,
for the BBC,
does any company
once
do it?
restored, these such troubles would be behind them. Until the very next year. It wasn't a power cut per se, but it was a disruption of a different kind. How about an actual high explosive bomb being detonated outside of Television Centre? What is going on?
If you buy your games on GOG, you could 100% burn them to DVD.
After the police carry out a major anti-terrorism operation.
I'm gonna look at physical games on PC that are
In
made
the early
on
hours of
disc.
March the 4th, 2001, anyone in or near the vicinity of the Television Centre would have seen this enormous explosion take place. A bomb had been found in a taxi parked just meters away from
Community
Television
Practice
Centre
is
itself.
downloading
Thanks to a
DRM
coded
free
warning that had been
offline
received around
installers
an
from
hour
platforms
prior,
like GOG,
staff of the
manually
BBC
bring
were
them,
evacuated, either out of
Local
or to a part of the
safekeeping and
TV Centre
preservation.
complex
That's pretty
that was
cool.
away from the front entrance on Wood Lane. The bomb itself was found to be the work of
They
the
have
group The
Cyberpunk
Real IRA,
physically on
who carried out a
PC.
number of bombings in the UK throughout
That's pretty
2001.
cool. Might have to look into that.
From a given moment in the
On
show,
Blu-ray,
we were
too.
expecting to fall off air, as we say, simply because we were warned that the generator was having problems and that it might just pack up for good. And when that happened, it happened during a report, and it just went, and there was a huge fizzle in the studio. The lights just disappeared with a big bang, and we were left there sitting in glorious isolation in complete darkness, from 6 million viewers to none in 1 second. It was quite an experience.
It's fair to say that the BBC has gone through its fair share of dangerous situations, whether they be technical difficulties or from actual, very real threats. These moments stand out within television history. We can only be thankful that in these two instances we've covered today, that no one was killed. But the 2000 incident in particular shows us that no matter how well-oiled the machine may be,
I gotta get that
there's always
physical
a slim chance
cyberpunk.
that your operations can disappear
Yeah, it says it, bro.
in the blink of an eye.
It said it online that they had a limited edition Blu-ray release of Cyberpunk 2077 for PC. I might low-key want a cop.
This is BBC News 24. I'm Louise Minchin.
And I'm Chris Eakin. Yes, good morning to you. It is News 24. We've been off air for a while, as you may have noticed, due to the electricity problems which hit West London and hit much of the BBC's service overnight. Our apologies for that. News 24's equipment was particularly badly hit by various surges in power and
Yeah,
so
you
on
could get it on
overnight.
Mercari physically for
We are now
PC
back
for
on air.
$50,
And
$60 on
Sophie for covering for us, but
eBay.
for now,
A little expensive, but it exists.
well, the darkness here
They do
has been
make it.
much in keeping with the night of
They
disappointment.
did make
and
it. I'm sure they did
despair
make a lot of
for England.
copies.
Fans have been
Thank you to our
I wanna buy
patrons for
that.
helping
That's
to
actually
support
really
the
cool.
show. And a special thank you to Macra,
Since there are a
Sean
few
Knott,
other ones,
Dawn
but
Khan,
not many
Ethan
games. I think it's
Carberry-Holt,
more of like
Liam
a
Domain,
if the
AJ
studio
Mac
wants to spend the money to
20017,
producing it.
Deck, Jen, Traffy, Evan Hart 41, Tim Ripley, Mr. Eurovision 1986, Marnanel Thurman, John Wakefield, Kieran Bolton, 40-something Manchild, Jerry Ralph, John McLeod, Saint Rocket 9, James Wallace, Ben, Kat Hegarty, Stephen Oliver, Tegan, Shadowfiend 180X,
I picked the
Liam
right house
Wigley,
school.
and Swan Ronson are AMTV staff members.
Great house. What do I want to watch now? Crash Bandicoot? Streamception. Trying to think, this guy's really good. I'm sure you watched his stuff. He like makes the best shit. Oh man, remember CC's Pizza? Oh dude, that's fucked up. I didn't know they were on bankrupt, man. Oh dude, my favorite place, dude. All right. I don't know what to put on. Any recommendations for videos that's not music? Places, I don't know. See. Vsauce publish a video in a while. No. Watch Mr. Beast? Not about it. Fuck, what do we watch on YouTube?
I got you.
I got you? Bet. I'm gonna wait for you then. Since you got me. Because I have no idea what to put on.
I sent you something on Discord.
I got you, homie. Alright, so... Discord? Huh. Is this real? And I watched a really cool documentary on Dish Network the other day. On like Dish and like how they are and like it was interesting. Like their business. I didn't. The scary pirates. Necessary.
I wish we got to use Dish Network growing up.
Why, is it better? It was more expensive, I heard.
Hi, you've tuned into Dish Network's Pirate TV, and you've been enjoying the first-rate programming of entertainment, news, weather, and sports that only the Dish Network can offer to its subscribers. But did you know that you were not a legitimate subscriber? That's right. I'm speaking to you on a channel that only viewers who are illegally obtaining the Dish Network can see. And because you are watching this channel, we know you are not an authorized viewer of the Dish Network signal. Unfortunately, you may not know that the system and programming you purchased was sold to you by someone who was not authorized to sell Dish Network equipment or its programming. You may have been misled by someone claiming to be an authorized dealer, telling you that they could also sell you discounted programming packages. Or you may already be a Dish Network subscriber who's receiving additional programming using illegal
Is this
equipment.
real?
Receiving unauthorized or illegal programming is against United States and Canadian law.
Oh, yeah?
So, you're receiving a stolen signal. Now what do? It's simple. Dish Network is offering you the opportunity to sign up now and become a legitimate subscriber without penalty or consequence. All you have to do is call 1-800-333-DISH and order programming legally. Once you've called and become authorized, you can rest easy knowing that you will not be penalized for illegally obtaining Dish Network programming and that you've become one of the millions of legitimate Dish Network subscribers still able to view the fabulous programs that
This
Dish
is real.
Network offers.
Go down the rabbit hole. They
Should
did
you
a few
choose
of these
not to
ads that aired
contact
on a
us and become
special channel.
subscriber, in the
Dude, the
future, you will
Pirate
lose your
Network? That's
investment
so
in the equipment
goated.
you purchased, and there will be no amnesty period available. Okay, So you've discarded the illegal equipment, called 1-800-333-DISH, and now you're an authorized subscriber. But how do you get your investment back from the person who sold you this illegal equipment? That may be
Hello,
impossible.
Z Official
the
Dax.
only way
What's
to
going
get your
on?
money back from the individual who sold you the illegal equipment is to contact them and request a refund. And if you can't contact them, and unfortunately you probably won't be able to, your only recourse is to contact your local law enforcement officials to file a complaint. We at Dish Network understand that you may be the victim of unscrupulous individuals.
No. This was all on purpose. I don't want to pay for
period.
your subscription
During the
fees.
Period,
I want
Do you remember me and
unauthorized
Orion
programming
Floofs?
by any means.
What's good?
can
Yeah, I
become
do remember you
authorized
guys. Yeah.
recipient of Dish Network programming with no questions asked. Just call 1-800-333-DISH.
Absolutely remember you guys. How could I? Yeah, this is the video I watched. The bankruptcy of Dish Network.
I'm trying to start my own content thing, RN.
Hell yeah, bro. I'll check out your channel at every time. Send me a link in the Discord. I'll check out your channel sometime. Yeah, I watched the Dish Network sold for $1 video. I watched this. This is a really good monologue that he did. It was very heartfelt. I don't know if you like Conan O'Brien, but he's
I left
definitely
because my Nitro was denying me because I was at 200 servers.
It's all good. That sucks.
Meet me right now.
So these are the first 2 dates for the diary. 10:20 Friday night and live 3:40 Saturday afternoon.
Fear storm to your weekend plans.
No one in North
Civil authorities in your area have reported that the bodies of the dead are rising from their graves and attacking the living. Follow the messages on screen that will be updated.
What is this shit?
Becomes available. Do not attempt to approach or apprehend these bodies as they are considered extremely dangerous. I repeat, civil authorities in your area have reported...
Showing you this in the year 2025, you immediately just think of ARGs and analog horror projects like Local 58.
Dude, I get the real shit, Josh.
There's even an entire genre known as EAS scenarios, emergency alert systems for fictional situations, meant to mimic the real way emergencies are broadcasted on air. This TV broadcast talking about zombies, though, is not one of those cases. In fact, this was well before the analog horror and ARG craze of the internet.
I DK what this is, but I like it, LeMayo.
Over the course of that year, 5 different TV
This is
stations
cool.
across America, in Montana,
I thought it was an
Wisconsin,
ARG
New
for a
Mexico,
sec.
and Michigan were hijacked, each with a similar message about the dead rising and attacking the living, all taking place on the same day, February 11th, 2013. The first of these took place on a local CBS-affiliated station, KRTV, located in Great Falls, Montana. It was broadcasting an episode of The Steve Wilkos Show, at the time about 2:30 p.m. MST, when it was abruptly interrupted by the unmistakable and ear-piercing noise of an emergency alert alarm, followed by the message, "Civil authorities in your area have reported
They are
that
lucky
the
I
bodies of
didn't
the
hear
dead
this
are rising
LMFAO.
from their
Yo,
graves
for real, dude.
and
I would have
attacking
went
the
into
living."
like
This was just the first of many, however.
primal mode,
Around
dude.
3:55 p.m., 3 other stations were hijacked. WKT-BTDT in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and WBUP and
This is fucking
WNMU
awesome.
in Marquette,
This is
Michigan,
great.
playing the same zombie message. The
don't
final
even know what
incident
to
would
say.
occur on station KENW, located in
So
Portales,
true.
New Mexico, at 5:35 p.m. MST, with, you guessed it, the same false
Yo, for
emergency
real.
alarm and message about zombies. Swiftly, law enforcement and the stations
What
themselves
type of content you
made it
doing,
clear
Dax?
the
Just
messages were in
curious.
fact hijackings and hoaxes, and immediately began an investigation into the incidents. It was quickly discovered that the audio used in the messages came from a YouTube video from 2008 titled Zombie Emergency Alert System Warning, EAS.
This warning applies to all areas receiving this broadcast. Tune into 9:20 a.m.
Wonder how they got
to
into the
information
entire TV
knowing that
network.
you are separated from your
That's
television
wild
or
shit,
if
dude.
electrical service is interrupted. Civil authorities in your area have reported that the bodies of the dead are rising from their graves and attacking the living. Follow the messages on screen that will be updated as information becomes available. This station will now cease transmission, so please use your battery-powered radio. Tune in to 9:20 a.m. for further information.
That still didn't explain who had done this or why. Going into the comments, we can see they claim to have made this video as a joke for Halloween and were in no way responsible for the actual hijackings.
Wait, they got into the TV network. I thought this was just a television troll hosted by the network.
No, this is a real thing that happened, supposedly, Dax.
In terms of how it was
suspected,
wild, the perpetrators were actually able to hijack multiple stations on the same day around the same time was actually not that complicated and didn't require the individuals to be hackers or experienced in television networks or broadcasting at all.
Radio.
Their theory was that they simply tried as many stations as they could using the default passwords found in manuals for emergency alert equipment.
No way.
It was as simple as that. This meant they were nowhere close to finding out who was responsible, and like a lot of other TV hijacking incidents, they never did. Following this though, the FCC and FEMA did their best to educate networks about the importance of cybersecurity and updated them on other loopholes and known vulnerabilities and exploits that could have been used to gain access to the systems. Strangely enough though, in February of 2017, a radio station was hijacked in Randolph County, Indiana, called WZZY, which played the same message, although it's unclear if the same individuals were involved or if this was just a copycat prankster. Either way, these are definitely some of the most prolific and interesting TV hijackings to have taken place in recent memory. Another infamous broadcast intrusion occurred back in 1987 on September 6th.
What time is it for you?
The Playboy Channel was airing the movie Three Daughters
1:33 a.m., bro.
When
At my
suddenly,
time.
without warning,
New York City time.
a text-only message was displayed reading, "Thus saith the Lord thy God, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand." A quote from the Bible verses Matthew 4:17 and Exodus 28. The incident was likely never recorded, as no footage is known to exist, with the only proof of it really happening being this alleged screenshot of the message in question, as well as the subsequent investigation into the interference, which led to the arrest of an employee of the Christian Broadcasting Network by the name of Thomas Haney, who denied any involvement in the hijacking.
In Georgia?
Investigators were somehow able to piece together
Am I
what
in
kind
Georgia?
of transmitter
No.
was used in the hijacking, which led them to the same one found with the Christian Broadcasting Network, headquartered in Virginia Beach, Virginia. From here, it didn't take them long to locate their suspect, who had previously been acquitted of another charge involving television broadcast hijacking, and was also on the scene at the time of the jamming, conducting his job as an uplink engineer, seemingly with the available means to perform the intrusion. Still, both the prosecution and defense were unable to recreate the type of hijacking that had been pulled off with the CBN equipment. Regardless, Thomas Haney was found guilty on 2 charges related to the broadcast intrusion. He received 3 years probation, 150 hours of community service, and a $1,000 fine. Following this, he still proclaimed his innocence. The year prior to this would be one of the most important TV hijacking events in American history, as it would become one of the most well-known and likely inspired those who came after, including not only the Playboy religious message, but also the infamous Max Headroom incident, both of which would occur only a year after the Captain Midnight broadcast
I'm
intrusion.
most likely going to post another video soon. Would you like to contribute? At the official Dax just reached level 1.
Suddenly interrupted a home box office movie on cable.
I've only made music like distantly in the past, and it's kind of bad, so you don't need to contribute my music.
This case is actually quite
I don't care if you use it at all.
Actually.
I don't care if you want to, but
1986,
I've only made a
at
select few
12:32
songs
a.m.
which aren't too
EST,
good.
During an airing of spy thriller,
Most of the
The
music
Falcon
on
and
my
the
channel is
Snowman on
not owned
HBO,
by me.
The signal was hijacked and replaced with a simple message, which was left for at least 5 minutes before being taken off the air, which simply read, "Good evening, HBO, from Captain Midnight, $12.95 a month.
Sample
No
the
way.
year from Clay Lake
Showtime
Lameo.
/ movie channel, beware." Definitely an interesting way to protest a channel price hike, but I can't exactly say I blame the guy either. If you plug these numbers into an inflation calculator, you're looking at more like $32 a month. But then again, nowadays the HBO Max premium subscription is $20.99 a month, so really not that far off. And if you bundle it with Hulu and Disney Plus, then you are actually looking at
that
like
shit was
$30.
fire. Okay,
Although
I'm
this
just scared you're going to issue a DMCA takedown request.
Dish owners would pay compared to
For what?
cable, which at the time was the more affordable
problem is,
option.
like, what are you
It seems this
using?
man also felt the same way about the
of
pricing
me?
of other networks, threatening both Showtime and the movie channel in the message as well. It wouldn't be long though until Captain Midnight would be identified. Unfortunately for John
Most
R.
of the
McDougal,
content I
he'd been
use is
bragging
not
about
my
the
own, so you
hijacking
will
and
get
was
just
overheard by a
music.
man who reported it to the authorities, which led them to a man in Ocala, Florida, who operated as a master control operator at a satellite telecommunications port, and certainly had the means
Discredit
and
me, I don't
technological
care.
background to perform the intrusion. McDougal admitted to the crime, saying he did it because he was upset at HBO for raising their prices, not because of personal consumption, but because it was hurting his primary business of selling satellite dishes, with his other job as a telecommunications operator being merely a second job to make ends meet because his business wasn't performing well. McDougal pled guilty to transmitting without a radio license and was given a year of probation as well as a $5,000 fine. Since this was one of the first major cases involving a broadcast intrusion like this in the United States, it resulted in a revision to the United States Criminal Code, which made satellite
Do
jamming
you still have the
from this
music you
point
made
on
up?
a felony. Still,
Music
that
I
wouldn't
made?
exactly
Of
deter
course,
would-be
that's all on my
TV
channel.
pirates.
I
and
never
in
took
fact,
that shit
only
down.
emboldened them, showing
I
that
never
it was
will.
possible. They just had to be more careful. Captain Midnight likely wouldn't have been identified either. if he
My
just
song
kept his
is the
mouth
oldest
shut.
public
And if he was
upload
just
I have
one
on my
guy,
channel. Is
Think
my
of what
song.
a competent group of engineers or hackers could do.
And then my music
And
video
that
is
brings
public
us
again,
to
too.
the Max Headroom incident. Of course, everyone saw this coming. No list of TV hijackings would be complete without it, even though everyone on the internet at this point has likely heard of it, especially if you've been following this channel for a while, as I did an entire deep dive into just this one incident, which can be found here. I won't go too depth into this one, as many people have already heard it, obviously, and it's kind of been done to death at this point. But for those unaware, two incidents took place on the night of November 22nd, 1987, on two different Chicago TV stations, WGN-TV and WTTW. The first of which took place at about 9 p.m., when a newscast covering sports was interrupted by the unidentified man in the Max Headroom mask, which was only displayed for less than 30 seconds
I don't know how the
before
fuck
cutting
this guy
back
did
to
this.
a
Have you ever seen this,
confused
Chuck? The Max
newscaster.
Headroom incident?
Well, if you're wondering what's happened, so am I. Actually, the computer that we have running our news from time to time took off and went wild. So what we're going to do is start over from the top with the Bears and tell you once again about the 30-10 victory they had over Detroit today out at Soldier Field.
This is the lesser-known incident, as the only sound audible during this brief interruption was a piercing buzzing noise. The second incident is what would make this signal hijacking the most infamous in history, and still one of the great television mysteries yet to be solved. About 2 hours later, an episode of Doctor Who was airing on WTTW, which was hijacked by the pirates, and with no one available at the transmitter tower able to stop them, this interruption went on for about 1 minute and 30 seconds. And while the audio and visuals are distorted, the man in the Max Headroom mask is able to speak to the camera
I had
and
to
the
go
audience,
listen to No
although it's
Clay.
hard to make sense
Hell
of what he's
yeah.
saying, and at the best of times hard to articulate what he's even trying to convey here, referencing New Coke's slogan advertised by the real Max Headroom, as well as humming the song of the TV series Clutch Cargo, making references to a sportscaster known as Chuck Swirsky, and the network WGN, which he called World's Greatest Newspaper Nerds, before being slapped by a person with a fly swatter. Despite a criminal investigation conducted by the FCC and internal investigations done by the local TV stations involved, no one was ever identified in connection to these pirate broadcasts, leaving it an infamous incident with speculation over who committed the hijackings going back decades. Many suspects have been presented over the years, some of which I detailed in my deep dive video, but no one has ever been conclusively linked to the intrusion and the making of these strange broadcasts. Another more recent event is the 2007 Playhouse Disney incident. In the Middletown area of New Jersey, on May 2nd, 2007, Comcast was broadcasting an episode of Handy Manny, a popular children's series about a handyman who fixes things around town with the help of his talking tools.
This is
Most
like not
notably,
far
the
from
show
us,
was
Josh,
made
like
for
where we
very
lived.
young audiences, being made primarily for preschoolers, and thus was being shown on the Disney Playhouse programming block.
Like, I
aimed at
could have
an
saw
audience
that as a
demographic
child.
of 2 to 7 years of age, before being renamed Disney
go.
Junior in 2011. This context makes it all the more strange and unsettling when you learn that during one of their broadcasts of Handy Manny on this specific date, at approximately 9:30 a.m., the signal was hijacked and replaced with corn. You know
Oh
what
my
I'm talking
God.
about. This had been seen by at least a few children that morning before being taken down, as evidenced by one father who gave an interview on the broadcast and found his young son exposed to the material. Comcast began an immediate investigation into what caused the
we
intrusion,
got digital TV
and were
as
able
late
to
as we
piece together
physically
that
could.
it took place at one of their local facilities, and did not say that it was a typical broadcast hijacking, but
Comcast
rather
in
claimed it was signal
2007
bleed
though, I
from
think.
adult content.
I think we
from
literally
another
had
Comcast
Comcast
network,
back then,
and
dog.
claimed responsibility for the accident. But was it really all an accident, or was someone behind the incident that was never caught? It's hard to say for certain, but with what happened on Disney Junior only a few years later, you may be led to believe that the culprit is still out there. Because on the newly branded Disney Junior block, on September 7, 2012,
We had
the
Comcast basic
2002
cable
animated
back
Disney
then.
classic Lilo and Stitch was airing, before the signal was hijacked,
That's what I'm saying.
and in its place
said it
was
happened
another
in Middletown,
porn
New
film
Jersey.
shown on the network
So we
for
probably
6
got
minutes.
that network.
While the Handy Manny
Oh,
incident
Disney
is
was
lost
premium.
media,
Oh shit, never
this one
mind.
actually has one clip which exists online. Although
We
it
would've
seems
gotten
this
it.
incident is less known and even more mysterious. The video was recorded by a mother who witnessed her children viewing this adult content on Disney Junior. She said of the incident, quote, "It's a woman on top of a man, full penetration.
I
This is
really
not
wanted
something
the
that's on
Disney Channel
HBO.
growing up.
This is like pay-per-view. I'm astonished that this is on here."
Yes,
This
Mom
all
and Dad,
occurred on
this is
Dish
all right.
Network, who claimed that they
I
were
never liked the
investigating
Disney
incident
Channel that
and
much
had
until
strong
Disney
and
XD and
operational controls
Gravity
in
Falls and
place,
stuff
such
later
as
on.
content encryption to ensure
But
something like this
probably was
doesn't
dope.
happen. Nothing, as far as I could tell, came of the investigation, but it seems in both instances the hijacking was done deliberately by a malicious third party, likely someone who worked closely in broadcasting, or they could just both be grave errors. Although I find it a bit unlikely
Early
given
Disney
the
Channel
amount of
was
cases
dope.
there are
DuckTales
like
rule.
this.
My
The
friend
footage
asked
shown
what's the
is
best
never something
JOE manga
innocuous.
Laleo.
It's usually just corn,
I
as is
do
the
not
case with
know.
another infamous
No
signal
idea what the fuck
intrusion.
that is.
Taking place much earlier at a much more publicized event was the WMGT TV hijacking, which occurred during live broadcast footage
Not
of
really
the
really
first
big
game
into
of the
like
World
manga
Series
and stuff.
in
I don't watch a lot of
1988.
animes.
The championship of Major League Baseball
I honestly
between
have
the
no idea.
Oakland Athletics and Los Angeles Dodgers on October 15th, 1988. For about 10 seconds during the second inning, the footage of the game was replaced by a black and white corn film before returning
Innocent
to the
soul
game.
mustn't search it
This
up.
hijacking, because of it taking place during
Don't be
such a
saying weird shit if it's
publicized and
something
viewed
whack.
event, made headlines, and a short investigation of the incident followed suit. According to the station manager, it was all a mistake.
Joking
done
JoJo's
by a
Bizarre
technician
Adventure.
who remains unidentified, but was fired following the incident, claiming they had
JoJo's.
accidentally used the wrong switch on the master control panel, cutting to a signal containing pornographic material. Although, since this seems to be a common prank among people working closely with TV
subscribe, though, to the
stations,
dope
it's also
channel,
very
my
possible
friend.
that it wasn't an accident, and rather a deliberate hijacking by the same technician who was fired, although no charges ended up being filed, and the case was quickly shut. Back in 1985, before even the infamous Captain Midnight or Max Headroom incidents, There was a hijacking that took place in Poland and is just one of the many politically motivated TV hijackings which have occurred around the world. This one being so early is simply one of the most notable incidents. Government programs airing in the town of Torun in Poland, including a broadcast of an episode of the police procedural series 07 Come In, were hijacked by a group supporting the Solidarity movement, also called the Independent Self-Governing Trade Union, with messages directed towards the people superimposed in, such as, quote, enough price increases, lies, and repressions, as well as, it is our duty to boycott the election, in reference to the 1985 Polish parliamentary election, which was going to be held just about a month from then, on October 13th, 1985. The perpetrators behind these messages
he was on
were
YouTube, vertical or
as
horizontal. I know he was on
at the
YouTube.
University of Torun,
Perfect.
where they used
I
an
saw his
8-bit home
icon.
computer system known as the ZX Spectrum, alongside a transmitter to put the messages over the broadcasts. Due to the high-profile nature of the case, as well as the good reputation of the men in the scientific community, as well as academia, they were only given sentences involving probation and a small fine. The same cannot be said, however, of the next group of hijackers. Falun Gong is a religious movement founded pretty recently in China in the 1990s by their leader, Li Hongzhi. Critics describe it as a cult with controversial beliefs, such as having anti-evolutionary views and doubting the efficacy of modern medicine, as well as rejecting many modern Western social beliefs, opposing feminism and homosexuality. However, the group has also been the subject of persecution in China, involving conversion therapies, covered-up deaths, and even, allegedly, organ harvesting. Most people have heard of the 1989 Tiananmen Square protest and subsequent massacre, but less well known is the 2001 Tiananmen Square self-immolation incident, which occurred on Chinese New Year's Eve, January 23, 2001, following the ban of the religious movement and the subsequent persecution by the Chinese government. 5 people that have been claimed to be members of the movement lit themselves on fire to ostensibly protest this treatment of their group, although information on this event remains quite vague and muddied, with people claiming that the people were not actually members of the group or that the event was staged, given this kind of self-harm and violence is not permitted within the group. Either way, it seems the Chinese government took this as an example of their group being violent and only pushed harder on their campaign against them. To correct any misunderstandings about this incident, a group within the Falun Gong on February 16, 2002, hijacked TV stations in Anshan, China, and later on in March, additional TV stations in neighboring cities to spread word of their persecution by the government. Later that year, 15 people were arrested in connection to the hijackings, following one final transmission intrusion occurring on September 9th, which targeted national satellite TV. Convicted members were given sentences of up to 20 years in prison for their part in the hijackings. Before this, however, before even Captain Midnight, Max Headroom, even before the TV Solidarity incident, one of the most mysterious and strange broadcast intrusions ever recorded would occur back in November of 1977. During a news summary presented by Andrew Gardner on the evening of November 26th at 5:10 p.m., the audio of the broadcast was replaced following a strange buzzing noise, leaving about 6 minutes of audio behind of a person claiming to be an alien named Vrilon from the Ashtar Galactic Federation, warning of a new age of Aquarius, a great awakening, whatever that is supposed to mean. The broadcast was obviously denounced as a hoax, with Southern Television immediately looking into who committed the intrusion and by what means. It became clear that while it would take significant knowledge of how transmitters worked, it would be a simple task for someone who knows what they were doing given how open their transmitter was to intrusions, as they used a rebroadcasting receiver which could be easily overpowered. Still, years, even decades later, no one was ever identified officially in connection with the broadcast hijacking, and we're left to wonder who was truly responsible and why they did it in the first place. That wasn't until the podcast series known as The Interruption was created, documenting the history behind the infamous 1977 incident, as well as the subsequent investigation, and eventually a suspect potentially behind the hijacking in the voice of Rillon being revealed, known as Gadget
Yo,
Guru,
rockin'
a
and
former
rollin'.
pirate radio broadcaster himself, who sounds very similar to the voice of Rillon and claims to have been responsible for the hoax, even giving an interview about it on the podcast. Although this is obviously just a pseudonym, and their true identity still remains unknown.
Shit. I'm watching a new video. Holy fuck, that scared the shit out of me! Holy shit. That's a clip right there, bro. Don't worry, it's just this makeshift bullshit Dad made me put up to fucking seal up the vent. Oh my god, that scared the fuck out of me. Oh, yeah, it's better just fall on the ground. Yeah, just fall. The tape held up good for a couple weeks. Put that down. Oh. I thought somebody was breaking in. Or watch this.
Who remembers the early 2020s trend of creepy gaming
I'm gonna go pee real quick. I'll
anti-piracy screens?
be right back.
I'm sure basically everyone, right? But there are endless hours of compilation videos on these, usually related to Mario, Sonic, or Nintendo games, but people have made them for just about every video game out there. It sort of popped up during the analog horror craze, and sort of capitalized on the same kind of horror. It all started with this pretty innocuous Mario Party DS one, which by today's standards of these things is quite tame, but was the first of many fan-made anti-piracy screens. Today we obviously know these are all fake, but back then I think they at least started out as somewhat realistic, if a little creepy, and then completely devolved into hilarious, borderline satirical creepypastas with hyper-realistic blood and Mario like hanging from the ceiling with his guts out as Nintendo says they're gonna come to your house and kill your whole family if you don't turn your game console off. But believe it or not, this trend actually started from real anti-piracy and copy protection measures put into games by developers. A lot of the time, they're pretty funny and incredibly creative solutions rather than anything creepy, although you could definitely make the case that some of them are kind of eerie, so that's what we're going to be covering today. None of the fan-made stuff, but rather the real anti-piracy measures and screens in video games. Tip of the iceberg. GTA 4 Drunk Camera. This is probably the most infamous and well-known real anti-piracy measure. Warning though, this footage could give you a headache just by looking at it. It's basically what it sounds like. It's one of the many anti-crack protections this game has.
Oh, I feel much better now.
The game runs a DRM, or
before I
digital
pissed
rights
myself.
management system for CD/DVDs known as Securom, which gained prominence in the 2000s as a method of detecting unauthorized copying, also known as the pirating of video games. One such game to have this copy protection system in place was the PC version of Grand Theft Auto 4, and if the game detected something was off, you're met with this permanent drunk camera, which is extremely disorienting, essentially mimicking the effect
I'll
of
throw
when
it up for you,
Nico
Chachi.
is drunk in the game, but it even plays during cutscenes. All the vehicles you enter also permanently accelerate and have limited HP, meaning they blow up in one hit. I gotta admit, this is a pretty funny troll by Rockstar, but I can't help but think someone is crazy enough to have tried to beat the game with these settings still on. You'll come to find out throughout this list, that practice isn't all too uncommon. Alright, we gotta move on and get this off my screen. It's actually giving me a headache now. Serious Sam 3 Scorpion. This is another one of the most infamous anti-piracy measures ever put in a game, because it's both hilarious and kind of terrifying. If you've ever played Serious Sam 3 BFE, released in 2011, you may have encountered these adult arachnoid enemies, which everyone
this
just
is like right when I first got into PC gaming.
They're pretty formidable
Securum was
enemies on
GTA
their
4's
own, but if the game's
anti-piracy.
DRM detects that you have pirated your copy, then within the first 5 minutes of starting the game, you'll be relentlessly attacked by an immortal red scorpion that is infinitely faster than you and can kill you before you even know what's going on, which I could imagine could be quite a startling experience if you didn't see it coming. Ultimately though, it's a pretty hilarious way to stop people from copying their game. However, speedrunners took this as a challenge and actually made an entire speedrun category for beating the game while being chased by the DRM scorpions, which is pretty insane. Michael Jackson, The Experience. So the DS actually had a proprietary anti-piracy system developed by NetAgent in collaboration with Nintendo to protect their games. I mean, it's Nintendo. Of course they're going to go above and beyond to defend their game libraries. This system was called DS Protect in response to the emulation craze that was going on around that same time of the original DS being created, and was made available in the late 2000s, early 2010s. About 300 DS games actually utilize this feature, and one of them is a little game called Michael Jackson: The Experience. It was released on just about every console under the sun, and was developed by Ubisoft of all studios, including Ubisoft Sao Paulo, who did the DS port. The main Wii version is a Just Dance style game, but the DS one is a rhythm game inspired by Elite Beat Agents. If the DS Protect copy system were to fail a check on your game, then you would be greeted with this audio.
So weird.
This is the sound of vuvuzelas. You might not recognize the name, but if I show you the picture, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This was a troll by the devs in reference to the 2010 FIFA World Cup, which infamously had the sound of these things blaring so loud that you couldn't even hear the TV commentators. Arkham Asylum. Batman Arkham Asylum, the first title in the Batman Arkham series by Rocksteady, released in 2009, has a few intentional game-breaking bugs left in or created manually by the devs to stop would-be pirates from progressing too far into the game. The biggest thing is the glider and grappling hook no longer working as intended, which led to many people in YouTube videos and forums outing themselves as pirates, complaining about this alleged glitch, which was actually a trap
in Pokemon
to
White
catch
and
and reveal
Black,
people
if you failed
who
the
got the game
anti-piracy
through
check, you
illicit
gained
means.
0
This is a
EXP.
trend you're
I
gonna
played
see
that
quite a
game
few
up to batch
times
5 like that
throughout the
before a
list.
patch.
That's
Mario
wild.
Party DS. While this one
That's
is really
fucked up that
basic,
they
it
did
kind of had
that.
to be included because, like I said earlier, this whole trend basically started with that fake Mario Party DS anti-piracy screen. But truth be told, there is actually a real one, though it's far less interesting. You just get hit with this message. Nothing really all that crazy. TMNT 3. Teenage Mutant
I
Ninja
didn't buy
Turtles
Black
3,
1 or
The
2 until
Manhattan
much later in
Project
life.
is a 1991 beat 'em
they're
up
really
originally
expensive
released
games.
for NES,
Really,
developed and published
really
by
expensive.
Konami. This game had an anti-piracy check in which it looks for if the copyright symbol seen next to the Konami name has been modified, and if it has, triggers a series of protections, which is mostly just a trolling routine against pirates. For one, the player will deal significantly reduced damage, while taking double damage themselves, and also disabling cheats. If you somehow manage to make it to the Shredder boss in stage 6, just like in Serious Sam 3, you will find your enemy is now immortal. Cuphead menu.
I really want to Nuzlocke BW again. Those games are fire.
As it was claimed to be by some.
Hell
However,
yeah.
the song does still exist in the game. The claim was that if the game detected you were playing a pirated copy,
Hell
then
yeah.
it would play a creepy song on the main menu, known as Don't Deal with the Devil 666, which if you put it into a spectrogram, would actually show images of the in-game devil. However, this is not the case. First of all, a creepy song likely isn't going to stop a pirate from playing the game, but secondly, there are no anti-piracy measures at all to
have
speak
you beaten
of
a
in this
Pokemon game, Dom?
so I'm not sure exactly how this rumor
Have
got
I beaten
started.
a Pokemon
Also,
game? I've
some
beaten
said a jump
Fire
scare would
Red.
also be triggered
I've beaten
in the Dice
Pokemon
House,
Gold
but none of
before.
that is real
Both the
either.
original Heart
The song
and
is
Heart
actually an
Gold.
Easter egg, though,
I've not
and can
beaten
be
3rd
activated
gen.
on the main
I've
menu
not beaten
by
4th
getting the
gen.
bad
I've not
ending
beaten
and then
5th gen.
inputting the code
I've not beaten.
up, down,
I haven't
left,
beaten
right, left,
any
right,
Pokemon
select,
game
and
up
start.
until
Also, the
all the way
spectrogram
up to
waves
Sword.
really do show images from
Those are the Pokemon
Devil's
games I beat.
Casino.
Sword, I beat Sword and played through the fuck out of it. Violet, and I never got into because it was really glitchy. I wanted to, but I never got into it because it was glitchy.
You missed out on the best ones.
Where do I gotta go back to? That on the best ones. What the fuck? I'm sorry, homie.
Donkey Kong Country 2. This one is relatively straightforward, but
Our
to be
peak?
honest, it is a
We'll
little
have to get
eerie
into
that they
that
chose
shit, bro.
this as the background image
3,
with this
4,
message,
5.
and no audio in the background. Though it is a pretty
6.
basic message, which a lot of the fan-made
I don't know though,
screens
man.
have
Like, what
likely
about
taken inspiration from.
the buddies?
Also,
like
you
the
can
Pokemon
sometimes
walk
get
behind
this
you
when
in Gen
playing
2.
the
I
game.
thought that was kind of peak. Nah, I'm just kidding. I really do like Sword a lot. But then I think they kind of dropped the ball, and recently they just haven't been making open world online Pokemon game.
The Witcher 2.
That's Gen 4.
I'm just spitballing here, but I assume CD Projekt Red had trouble with
Gen
pirates
4.
copying the original Witcher game, released back in 2007, and didn't want to
Heart
make
Gold,
the same
Soul
mistake
Silver?
again with its sequel, 2011's The Witcher 2.
I thought
Assassin
Gen
of
4 was
Kings. They somehow
Pearl.
managed to track people who illegally copied the game, found their IP addresses,
Diamond
and
and
actually
Pearl
sent
and
them
Platinum.
letters demanding they pay for the game or face legal punishment in the form of a fine. This did not go over well with fans, and eventually
They
this
both are.
practice was halted.
Oh,
It didn't
yeah,
really
yeah,
deter
yeah.
people either, as it's been claimed
I
that the game
guess.
was copied over 4.5 million times in just the first few weeks of the game's release, compared to just 1 million legal copies being sold. So I kinda get where they were coming from here, but this definitely wasn't the way to go about it. But that isn't all. The anti-piracy measure put into the actual game is just a fun bit of trolling on the part of
Platinum
CD
is
Projekt
also really
Red.
good.
Of course, as most of you know, in the Witcher
Hell
games
yeah.
you play as Geralt and have the option of romancing many of the female characters. However, if the DRM was tampered with in any way,
I do have a
then
lot
the
of
game would
games to
change
stream.
the character model of the character Geralt was romancing into the old woman Marietta Laredo. Definitely a unique punishment, I'll give them that.
I definitely do.
Crisis Warhead Chicken Gun. It's as weird as it sounds. Crisis Warhead is a standalone expansion game to the original Crisis developed by Crytek Budapest and released in 2008. They included a rather interesting measure if the game saw that an external patch was installed or other parts of the executable were altered,
Look
which would
into
trigger
Melon
on the
DS,
game's
it's a good
second
fruit
level,
Lameo.
essentially making
Melon
all of
DS,
the
it's a
players'
good
guns
fruit and
shoot out
L.
chickens, which
Melon
deal no
DS.
damage. Mirror's
Okay.
Edge.
Oh, got you. It's a good fruit.
Mirror's Edge at this point is considered a classic
It's a good
2008
fruit.
first-person action parkour
Okay.
adventure title developed by DICE, known for its
good.
unique style and art direction. It also has some interesting anti-piracy measures, including certain checkpoints which trigger modifiers that make the
Taste
game
free.
much harder. Notably,
Taste
slowing down
free.
Faith as she
Best
approaches
taste.
ledges that you need to have momentum in order to cross, making it impossible to progress. Earthbound. Earthbound is known for having multiple layers of copy protection throughout the game, namely a message, your typical anti-piracy screen, saying it wasn't meant for this hardware, yada yada yada. But if you manage to bypass this and get into the actual game, there are much more enemies, making the game way harder, it's more prone to crashing, and certain areas will just completely freeze your game. But if you somehow persevere and make it through all of that, and get to the final boss of Gygus, the game will not only freeze during the boss's first phase, but also delete your save file as
Emulators
well.
are cool to bad. I can't talk about them, LMAO.
Why
Game
can't
Dev
you?
Tycoon.
I'm sure they're legal.
Game Dev Tycoon is one of the most
Are they?
interesting
I don't know.
and pretty
Let me know.
ingenious strategies for dealing with pirates. The game, if you don't know, is a management simulation game in which you make a video game production studio and create and release games throughout the years for various consoles, hiring employees and expanding your business. However, if you play a pirated copy, or play the pirate mode which they added to the game, your own games will be pirated, forcing your company to go bankrupt. Even when you make a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 game, it still won't make enough revenue to sustain the business due to the piracy. To farm even more reactions to this, the devs uploaded cracked versions
We
of the
don't
game
want to
themselves
provide instructions
piracy
on how to
websites,
use
only
emulators
to
as
see people
Nintendo may
complain
get
that
the
they
video
couldn't beat the
taken
game
down.
due to pirates.
Appreciate
The
that.
absolute irony of it all. Super Smash Bros.
We could talk about Stella for the
entry
Atari
of this tier is
2600.
the original Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo
I don't think
64,
Atari really cares
released
much.
in 1999.
They
has
use
the
it in their own
typical
equipment.
region lockout screen, but that's kind of boring. The real interesting stuff is if you get past that with a pirated copy. There are several ways the game checks
they use
if it's
it
an
in their
authentic
own
copy,
equipment,
and it's
and
kind
they
of
still
above my
haven't taken it
pay grade
down,
to
so.
explain it or
Yeah,
even
no, Atari
understand
doesn't
it
care
at all,
about
but
Stella.
the point is that it does.
Citra was a good
You
fruit,
can try
too
and
bad
pick
it
a
went
character,
rotten.
but the game will automatically choose Mario and start a match against bots, in which all of the control stick inputs have half range. You can't fast fall, run, use smash attacks, or fall through platforms. Basically, it's kind of unplayable. Also though, for some reason, all knockback is random for your character and the bots as well. Surface of the iceberg.
Alright, you know what? We're getting out of
Rabby
this
Ribby
video. This might
fake
be too long.
DLC.
Yeah, this is way too long. We're watching it.
Rabby
That
Ribby
damn
is
farmer
in at
sued the
least
grocery
top
store.
5 most genius and fascinating anti-piracy measures in any game.
9/11
The title in
conspiracy
question was
iceberg.
released in January 2016 on Steam, developed by Cree Spirit, and is a side-scroller action game combining
Was I gonna
gameplay
look
of
up
the
shit?
bullet hell and Metroidvania genres.
Trying to think. Icebergs. Non-human encounters, icebergs.
This is the disturbing non-human encounters iceberg. Tier 1, self-made. Imagine you're a hotel receptionist working over Christmas, which means you're part receptionist, part therapist, and part miracle worker. Just when you think you might survive the chaos, one guest makes a habit of coming down to the lobby every night. He shows up, plants himself in front of your desk, and rambles on for hours while you nod along, because really, what other choice do you have? He says he's best friends with Princess Diana, the ex-wife of the current king of the UK. He explains that his job involves top-secret robotics projects, and claims he's worked with technology 100 years ahead of what the rest of us are using. He says all of this with such complete confidence that you almost start buying it yourself, until you remember Princess Diana died in the 90s. At first, the receptionist assumes this is a mental health issue, which is a reasonable conclusion, considering everything the man had said leading up to this point. But as the nights go by and the conversations continue, something feels off in a different way. The man doesn't seem confused or scatterbrained. He's consistent.
I am out
focused,
of food
and
jokes,
very
but if you
sure
like
of who
3Ds,
he
look into
says he
something
is.
called
Then one
Azahar.
night, he finally spells it out. He
Definitely
says he's
will,
not
bro.
human,
Appreciate
and
that.
he built himself. He explains that his reason for staying at the hotel and talking so much is because
Especially
he
with
needs to
3D.
watch humans, listen to
TV.
them, and learn how they act so he can fit in properly.
Weird.
He
I don't
even
know
tells
what
the
the fuck
receptionist
this
how
is.
someone could prove he's not human. According to him,
really
the giveaway
strange.
is his toes. He
Not
says he
like
doesn't have toenails, and that's the one thing he could never get.
Good, please. Nickelodeon lost media iceberg.
Nickelodeon launched back on April 1st, 1979, and has now been on the air for over 46 years. In this time, there's been lots of content related to the network. Lots of the content is readily available to view. However, some content throughout the years has slipped through the cracks for
Put
a
on the
multitude
video
of
I
reasons
sent you
and has
a mail.
become lost.
Oh,
Unsurprisingly, given the amount of Nickelodeon content that exists, there's lots of lost Nickelodeon media, so much that I was able to make this 8-tier Nickelodeon lost media iceberg. If you don't know what an iceberg is, then essentially the first layer features the most well-known topics. Then the further down you get, the more obscure the entries will get, with tier 8 being the most obscure. In this video, I'm going to cover this entire iceberg, which has lots of entries, so many in fact that they barely even all fit on the iceberg. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting.
I'm scared of this. What is this supposed to be? What the fuck? Homie. Black hole, alright. This is like disturbing.
Yes, mail.
What's a hypercane? And what's the badass music for? Temporal anomaly? Oh, collision.
Worse than a hurricane. At Chucko Brando just reached level 4.
Level 4. Oh my. Australia wildfire.
Jump scare warning soon.
Oh no. I'll lower the volume. Absolute zero. Oh no. Oh no. That was scary. Oh no.
I warned ya.
I warned you. What about the spatial anomaly? It's actually a really cool effect.
Brad, just imagine turning on your Wii and seeing any of these.
I actually fixed my Wii's weather app and news app so that they work. Rock on, brother. Null temp. Oh my god. That's terrifying, bro. Why didn't you warn me about that one? That was scary. Alright, this is scary. What is this shit? Oh, this is gonna be a horror thing, man. No, there's another. How long is this? Fucking scary. Why did you warn me about that one?
Right parenthesis.
What is this? Oh my god. Chocolate rain!
happy to see that. Don't horror me, please. The chocolate rain is getting me happy.
Chocolate rain. Some stay dry and others feel the pain.
I think that was the last one.
A baby born will die before the
I don't know,
sin.
man. I can't just. Acid rain.
Scary stuff, seriously. Right?
Zombies are coming.
One last one at the end.
Yeah, that wasn't that bad. That was
Okay. That was okay. This is where I first discovered the Atari video music on a video just like this.
Spin you around.
Give me another one.
No.
Okay. All right, that's X-Play for tonight. Catch us tomorrow night.
We're here every night. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Do you like the horror content I get?
Yeah, it's scary. Song through the Atari video music.
What is this supposed to be? Good, I'm getting bored.
You can see the data in the Atari video music.
Yeah, literally. Wanna watch Linus Tech Tips? Where's the Steam Machine? They do a video? Even Valve is disappointed? You want to watch the video? Is it bad? What did he say about it? I genuinely want... I don't know. Gaming on... Out of...
Sony sent it. In here is one of their newest Bravia TVs featuring their true RGB technology. I knew this was coming because I first checked it out a couple of months aago. But I had no idea they were sending one
I sent you a franchise you may enjoy.
Meet the 115-inch Bravia 9 Mark II, an absolute unit of a display that boasts over 90% of the BT 2020 color space.
Do not know
manages
that.
well over 4,000 nits.
Franchise, like as in like the IP. I've never heard of that
offers
IP.
a near zero compromise experience on image contrast and viewing angles.
What do you think about
it
this
costs
TV?
$31,000.
Oh my God.
But if everything Sony told me at the announcement in Japan holds true, this is as close to it gets to having a professional grade
know
mastering
Dexter?
monitor in your home.
No, I do
Except
not. I'm
it's
sorry.
over 10 times the surface
Send me another
area.
video. I'll put some
I
on,
cannot
though.
wait to see this thing in action.
Me either. You've been talking it up so much. Oh my god, I've been dying to see this thing in person.
Just like I've been dying to tell you about our sponsor.
Which is technically boot.dev, but really that's a way to sponsor yourself by giving yourself the ability to code and thus the power to accomplish wondrous feats and quite possibly change your life. Also, it's fun, which seems like cheating, but who cares? LTT is the code you could use 25% off, link below, FYI.
It's a good thing our home theater room set is operational because this is a loaner unit, meaning we need to be a little bit more conscientious about the unboxing experience than we normally would be.
Yeah, the packaging is definitely not final at all.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. This does feel a little female peacocky.
No one's gonna get that joke except for like a few bird enthusiasts.
Okay, well, not that
Second
much more careful
box. Imagine unboxing this like in a small apartment.
I don't think anyone in a small apartment's buying a 115-inch TV.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, literally, what
tell
the
that
hell?
to Adam, who won the 116 UX and then had to unbox it at his home.
Send
I
me
guess now's a
something,
good
Chachi.
time to do some speeds and feeds.
Send me another
So
video
it's
if you
4K,
can.
as you'd
Well,
expect.
you don't have to.
120 hertz, which
it's okay.
is not
for you.
that competitive with other very high-end TVs, some of which are doing 144 or even 165. But the way that Sony explained it was, it pairs perfectly with PlayStation.
Yeah.
To which I kind of went, right, but there's things other than PlayStation that exist. Anyway, it supports variable refresh rate and auto low latency mode though, and supports Dolby Vision, HLG, and HDR10, but not HDR10 Plus. So just like with Samsung and LG, you kind of have to choose which current generation HDR standard you are going to buy into.
Dolby Vision is better, but I mean, not by a lot. We looked at that, what, 2-3 years ago? And they were like, clearly the slightly better version, but whatever. Pick the TV, not the technology.
The bigger issue for me is just that not every piece of content is available in both formats. So I'm not always given the choice. I want my display to support all of them. I don't know about you guys, but my municipality limits how much garbage I can put in my... this would take me like 3 months to get rid of.
I know.
Already I'm seeing a clue as to how you're supposed to handle this thing. They've taken the same approach as TCL, where you get...
There's 4 of them.
4 handles that screw into the sides. There we go. That's interesting.
A little too low for the foam.
Yeah.
Well, you know, maybe we just lift it up with those ones, and then we get Reese to really quickly pop the other handles in.
Okay, here's what you do. And then this comes out.
Are you
And,
sure?
Yep. Oh yeah, I'm sure. And then it's just supported by the middle one. There we go.
Okay.
Can I have a butt plug, please? Really, you're gonna throw that in?
You got it.
I mean, the good thing is he wouldn't have scratched the next generation anti-glare coating because the 115-inch model doesn't get it. All the rest of the members of this family do get this like wild anti-glare coating. We're gonna be checking it out on the 65-inch model over on Short Circuit sometime in the next little bit here. What else can I say about it before we put on the stand? It supports Wi-Fi 6E. It's got like a
Fucking
bunch
TV,
of speakers
man.
in it. So 8 speakers,
Using
2
any
tweeters, 2
internal-
subwoofers.
I sent you another
Apparently
fake
the sound is
EAS.
supposed to be really great.
Hell yeah. I just want to see what this TV looks
Just
like
gonna
real quick. I'll
reiterate
cue that up
again
though
for
in
the
a little bit.
umpteenth time. If you are buying
I'm
a
a little bit
$31,000
interested
TV,
now.
do not use the speakers that are on board it. I don't care how good they are. Oh yeah, we can put the feet on like this.
That's
oh,
true.
That's so smart.
That's true.
Speaking of the feet, that's a third feature that is not present on the 115-inch model. The smaller ones have this cool, like, real-life cloaking device.
This TV is sick.
Stand that.
Right, I just
bends
want to
the
look
light
at
so
it.
you
I,
can
like
run cables
low-key, I'm like a
behind it, and then
$30,000
you look at
TV.
it and you like can't see them. It's kind of cool.
That's nuts.
Lenticular.
Lenticular. Oh, hey Reese, do you have an LTT screwdriver? Oh yeah,
He did bring one, yes.
Thank you, sir. LTTstore.com. We have so many different colors and styles.
$60
now. Oh, well,
screwdriver,
down here,
Linus? Are you
built-in
kidding
power
me?
supply. So here's
That's
our
insane.
AC in. And
Borderline robbery. That should be $20.
Let's go look at the I/O.
It should be
There we are.
$20 retail, but
4
on sale for
HDMI
10.
ins. 2 of them do up to 4K 120 hertz. One with eARC. We've got LAN. It doesn't say if it's 1000 or gigabit. I would really hope at this price it would be gigabit, but smart TVs, man.
There's no way it is.
What else we got? A couple USB ports, digital audio out, and optical. This is a cool feature. It allows you to use the
Nah,
speakers
a
on your
good
TV
screwdriver
as
is
the center
expensive.
channel in your surround sound setup.
For real?
It can be pretty nice for a
$60
clean installation,
expensive,
even
though?
if I would still recommend a dedicated
actually?
center channel. Also, RS-232C support, as well as IR in, if you want to use like an external IR blaster, as well as a cable in.
I don't know, man. I got the rusty ones Dad's had for like 30
Really
years.
clean
They
back.
work pretty good.
Okay, Henry, you're going to want to get this,
Look
because
at I
if we
fix
drop
it.
it, then this is where it's going to
That's
happen.
it.
For being realistic, it's about a 3-person job to move these TVs
Yeah.
around. The
What?
gap is so
It's
big
I
on
know,
this one.
I know. 1, 2, 3.
Ah! Oh, sorry, Reese.
Let's go. Okay. We're putting it on?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, you can put that foot on.
Okay. We probably should have attached the power cord first. It's in the bag. Maybe it's a 4-person lift, and that's why they've got
I think it's fine that you break your back moving the thing around, because realistically, once you have this TV,
it's never moving.
Do you ever get up again?
No.
Okay. Ooh, illuminated remote. You would think I could take that for granted, you know, with such an expensive product. I don't. I've seen very expensive projectors and TVs that do not include a decent remote. Oh, wow. Big dedicated Sony Pictures Core button. Oh, thank you, Sony. Along with all the sponsored... Ooh, Crunchyroll, though. Got YouTube on there.
Is there an AI button?
No AI button.
That's cool. The mic button on the C6H is an AI button. It's great.
Nice. I like this free TV button, though.
Yo, I want free TV.
That's the first thing I'm going to click. I guess we haven't really talked about True RGB yet. Sony is calling their tech True RGB because they're using 3 independently controlled diodes, red, green, and blue. Pure color, no filter. In theory, this results in massive coverage of the BT 2020 color gamut. And in practice, it works. The lab measured a whopping 92.3% in vivid mode. And like, okay, yeah, sure, gross, vivid mode, who cares? But in professional HDR, the mode that Sony recommends that you use for a more accurate picture, it was still 91.2%. Absolutely incredible. Part of how Sony achieves their next level of color gamut coverage comes from just how bright they can make every color channel. We're not capping out the like 10,000 nits that BT 2020 is rated for, but we still did measure almost 4,700 nits peak brightness in that accurate professional HDR mode. That is well past the typical 1,000 nits that many HDR films are mastered for. Although there are some that were mastered with future displays in mind for up to 4,000 nits and beyond. So why don't we start with checking out a couple. Your seat's not gonna sit in itself. The thing that I can't believe right now is how much of a thing this became. How many people have $30,000 to spend on a TV? Like, how many competitors do we need in this niche? Here we go. You know, you never get over it.
What, how big that TV is?
It's so big. I'm expecting this to be a whole new, brand new experience.
Oh yeah, with the fancy True RGB.
I'm already a little disappointed that this doesn't have the anti-glare coating that I saw at the unveiling.
I know, but like...
it's
I know it's bad. I know it's bad, but like, this is gonna be in a massive theater room with the lights off. Those spotlights, we're filming stuff, it's fine. It's probably living room. There is no theater room option. I looked through the Ubi. There's
on a TV.
You'd think that on a TV this big,
shed,
there might... Yeah, I'm gonna put this 115-inch, $31,000 TV in my shed.
It's a theater shed.
It acts as a wall of the shed.
Is this another setup wizard?
Yes. But this is for the actual TV, not your Google account. So this is the one that actually matters.
So much for let's watch some content.
Off.
Wait,
off,
why am I doing? Why am I doing?
Power saving off. I don't know.
Why am I doing this again?
I don't know. I don't know. So this is the optimization thing.
Oh yeah, okay, but this I would.
Oh yeah,
select.
tabletop stand for sure.
Yeah.
And then it can do this if we want to.
Imagine running this TV as vertical mode.
Well, that sounds like a you problem.
Like vertically, that'd be insane. It'd probably look awesome.
Box.
I mean, that could be a quirk of this having been set up and something by a previous reviewer. I don't know.
Maybe we've reset it a few times.
Oh my God, what is this?
That would
How do
be
I get
sick,
rid of this?
though.
Create your. Just hit next.
Oh, for crying out loud! Dark patterns, man.
Yeah. No. Okay, next. We're almost there. Start using the TV.
Yes!
Just start it. Why do you gotta put...
Oh my God!
Set up your screensaver. Hey!
You could run a slot machine, do some true boomer maxing.
Dude, I can't wait to see this thing. I gotta turn off motion smoothing though.
Yeah. It is absolutely...
Run a slot machine, do boomer maxing.
Okay, so here's one thing.
Oh my God.
Dude.
Settings menus?
Oh my God.
There's too many.
Wait.
Yeah, look at this.
Finish setup.
That's funny as shit.
I'm still not done.
Oh yeah.
This is something that I feel like every TV manufacturer could learn from. When I go to change something and it says, hey, you can't do that right now because of X, I should immediately be presented with the option to change that thing without having to go find it.
So we're on 4 for SDR content. It can also, if you go down, it can do tone mapping for SDR content as well to do like a fake HDR kind of thing. So even SDR content gets very bright.
Wait, Dom, we need to make a slot machine you sit in, and it has a big curved dome display you play on inside the slot machine cockpit.
Interesting.
I think the idea behind that is for
That's a
if
great
you want
idea.
to, you're
You
mastering
do like a
something and you wanna
bunch of
check what it's going to look
high-res, like
on
curved
normal
OLED
backlight.
monitors all
Swap
around
away,
you and shit.
Take a look. Nothing's too
Good
screwed
idea.
up. Okay,
You're
back to
gonna
home.
do, you're gonna
Fun
implement
fact,
like
by the way,
rumble
Sony showed
and like
us this in
fucking
action, but some of the other
sensor
RGB
shit,
backlit
like
TVs
fucking
out
water
there
squirting at
actually
you and
only
like
turn on
different
the RGB
bonus
backlight
things.
in certain
So you make it the
situations.
4D slot
and
machine,
will fall back to white
5D
in some
slot
more challenging
machine, 6D
scenarios.
slot machine.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. They claim that theirs never does that, and
seems correct.
According to their demo in the lab, it appears
Somebody
that it
sent me a
always
video.
uses
Hold on,
the
let me
RGB
see.
backlighting. This is a very complicated menu.
Emergency alert
yeah.
system.
Dude, we could
But,
implement tilt
to be
and shit
fair,
rumble.
This is like a Bravia usually has all of the
Hold on, let's see what you said.
color
We can
calibration
implement
stuff in it. So
tilt
you can
and
actually
shit rumble.
calibrate it.
That's
Whereas
funny
a lot
as
of other
fuck.
TVs, you
Giga
can't
boomer
really change the
maxing.
colors all that much, or you can't change like individual RGB values all that much.
You know what I just added
Reality
to
creation.
let me tell you something.
Just
I'm
tell
actually
me what
right now
stuff is.
currently in the open beta testing
I'm in
of a
reality already. I
plugin
don't
that
need
I've been developing for a
Detail
while.
preferred.
I
Sure.
originally
I'm
started
okay
doing it
with
with
a
my
little
buddy
bit of
Quinn.
noise reduction.
Yeah.
It was originally
Really
the
deep
Dick
menu. I feel like I
dimension,
could
just to give
spend
you
a
context
week
of how serious this
just playing
originally
around with
started
all of
as.
this.
Let's try
Just to see, and
I
I
think
just
speed
wanted to
rate,
see if he
because
could
one,
do
it's
it.
mastered
If he
to
could
4,000
make
nits,
dimension
which
where a
this
bunch
does
of
more
dicks
than
spawn
that.
and there's dick enemies.
And two,
He
very
definitely was
colorful.
able to do it.
Very colorful.
So
Haven't
we
actually
worked on
seen
it
it.
together, fucked around with it, and now
It's not good.
now it's the trippy
I like
land.
It because
It's
I'm a
no
big
longer
Speed
the
Racer
dick
fan.
dimension.
Like it was, I love that show. As
No
a
more
kid.
dicks.
All
got
it's
removed.
a fun movie to watch.
Entire idea got
It's
scrapped.
a good movie to watch. This is what we want. Yes.
It's
okay.
coming together
Brightness,
pretty well.
Max, sure. But then if we go to keep going, contrast enhancer.
And next time you want to hop on
so this
Minecraft,
can go
Rage,
up to
hop on.
high if you really want.
Check it out. It's some fun
then,
times.
That's
Just make
too
a
much.
portal out of dirt.
I don't even want that.
Okay.
Light it on fire.
And then peak luminance is set to
Walk in.
high. Okay, that's good.
We'll be
All right.
there.
Okay,
I was
so we're
worried.
good.
I think we're good. I was a little worried, but I think we're good.
All right. This is ludicrous.
Oh yeah.
I have never seen color like this.
No, me either.
But it's not Best Buy show floor vivid mode either.
We'll show you vivid mode later. It's awful.
Loud sounds in the last 10 seconds in the video I sent you.
Dude!
Last sounds in the last 10
You
seconds.
could use this TV as a camera flash.
Oh, 100%.
That's insane.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
But the color.
Nice.
Like that red.
I know. It's so red, and all the greens are so vibrant.
And what's really impressive too is there's no carryover.
Oh yeah.
Like from the car into his skin, or like I'm really looking for the same kind of artifacting that we saw in 1917 on the Hisense. And Sony assured me it wouldn't be a thing because they actually compensate with the color of the front LCD layer for the color of backlight that's coming through it, pretty much pixel by pixel.
Here, let's pop this in here.
That's how.
Why aren't they watching Corey in the house?
So where you would have like a
Good idea. We should. Last 10 seconds. Messing with it.
Choose any one of these syrups for your cough, and you might as well choose them all, because they all use the same cough suppressant, all except Benylin.
No. Yeah, yes, man. It's coming for all of us. Nukes.
This is an important message from the United States government. Please stand by for instructions. This is not a test.
What EAS would look like in the end of the world through the Atari video music.
Lunar eclipse warning. The total lunar eclipse is underway. The moon will reach its maximum point in a few minutes. For your safety, do not see the moon directly during the eclipse. Recent scientific reports indicate unusual and dangerous effects on humans. During lunar eclipses, a peculiar phenomenon known as blood rays often occurs. These subtle beams of crimson light radiate from the
EAS
moon's
looks so
surface,
sick through the Atari
casting an
video.
eerie glow
It
upon
really
the
does.
landscape.
Looks awesome.
While traditionally considered benign, tonight's eclipse brings uncertainty. The effects of these blood rays remain unknown. For your safety, do not see the moon and avoid exposure to its rays.
This is terrifying.
If you were in contact with the moonlight during the eclipse and you experience symptoms such as dizziness, confusion, hallucinations, body ache, or light white spots on your skin, for your safety and that of others, seek shelter immediately and do not go out. If you did not have contact with moonlight, close your doors and windows immediately. Stay at home and do not go out for any reason. Authorities are investigating numerous reports of missing people and strange phenomena. Please remain calm and do not interact with anyone who is acting unusual. Please, do not panic. Below we give you the information you need know. Recently there have been several sightings and attacks by an unknown entity. These strange entities have been called moonsters, which have been caused by the dangerous lunar rays emitted by the eclipse. Moonsters have been mainly seen in North Carolina, with the city of Asheville being the cradle of these monsters. For your safety, stay away from anyone or anything showing unusual behavior. Moonsters are humans who have mutated due to the effects of the blood rays of the lunar eclipse and are very dangerous. Do not look them in the eye for any reason. These entities are characterized by being tall and thin, pale skin, shiny black eyes, and having a macabre smile. Moonsters have the ability to hide easily in the dark, in addition to being able to imitate familiar voices and cause despair and madness if you are close to one. If you find yourself hidden outdoors, do not believe anything you hear or become desperate, as it will be easy for this entity to detect you. If you detect a moonster, what you should do is the following. Do not make eye contact for any reason, look for a safe shelter where no one can enter. If possible, illuminate the entire area and carry a powerful flashlight with you. Moonsters are easy to detect with bright lights, emit high-frequency sounds using the television, whistles or security alarms. Stay inside and remain calm and ignore familiar voices coming from outside. Moonsters are extremely dangerous and can be easily spotted in dark and wooded areas.
Bro.
Due to the effects of the moon and for the protection of all citizens who are still healthy, the Army and National Guard will be available until 4 a.m., which is when the effects of the eclipse are expected to have ended. For this time, make use of your right as an American citizen to defend yourself and others. We know that this measure can terrify the population, but the government of the United States seeks to protect each of its citizens.
Not real, thankfully.
Please stay home
You're
and
still
don't
away.
see the moon. The United States government is doing everything in its possibility to keep every citizen
You don't miss,
safe.
I'm still up, bro.
Stay waiting for possible new information.
It's terrible. That was so terrifying. Like, not terrible, that was just scary. But yeah, we don't miss. We're still awake. Welcome to the stream. Sorry,
Can
had
you
to
change to Fortnite?
I'm so tired. I'm gonna pass out. I can't play any Fortnite. I'm just watching, playing some games. But we will be on Fortnite tomorrow for the events with the Shiny Hour tomorrow. So please be around. Watch. Wow. Let's watch this.
From 250 million views every month
give
to
you a
barely
link.
scraping together 5,000
Sure, give me a
on
link, we don't
day-old
miss. See
video,
what you wanna watch.
Mojo has officially lost its place as YouTube royalty. To many, they've always represented the worst aspects of corporate content, passionlessly pumping out video after video regardless of quality.
And today we're counting down our picks for the best comedic highlights of Speed's career.
Bro, oh my!
Despite the complaints, they managed to maintain their status as one of the platform's most popular for over a decade, with an office of full-time employees and a dedicated viewership that kept up with their upload schedule. Today, however, their numbers have dwindled to a fraction of what they were. Their CEO is having mental breakdowns at his critics and using tragedies to promote AI-generated music, all while the empire he built is slowly but surely losing relevance. To really understand WatchMojo and the controversy it's facing today, you have to understand its founder, Ashkan Carbis.
I didn't know anything about
and
this.
I'm not saying this in the
"Here's 20 minutes of fluff before we get into the real video"
sort of way. This guy and his mindset is actually behind all of their recent controversy. Ashkan is a Canadian businessman who worked in a finance role at an old search engine and is the head of ad sales at Ask Men. But by age 27, he was looking to start a venture of his own, specifically one centered around emerging web technology. Everyone knew that user-generated content was the future, and that included Ash. So he launched WatchMojo.com, described at the time as internet TV like you've never seen. Even this early on, you can see how growth-oriented he was, describing videos he hadn't even made yet as insightful, irreverent, and intelligent short film assets that cater to the burgeoning internet video market. But at this point, he didn't really know what supply he would actually be creating. All he knew was the demand. When people would ask me, "Where do you want this company to go?" I'd say, look, I'd like it to be the next Just for Laughs, Cirque du Soleil, Vice Media, and others in the media and entertainment industry. Given that all three of the brands he names here are completely different, it's obvious Ash didn't really care what it was he was making, just that it succeeded. So the early years of WatchMojo were he and his employees throwing everything at the wall. Don't know what jeans to wear? They got that. Want to hear Ash talk about the Mini Cooper?
Welcome to WatchMojo.com. When the Mini was launched in North America, driving was changed forever.
They got that. They got the top 5 spots in Houston. They got this guy playing guitar. An interview with Pierce the Veil. And who could forget Barack Obama? I've always wondered who this guy is, and hey, now there's a video. Thank God. From what I can tell, Ash was sending his employees across Canada and the United States to film literally anything that might be of interest. Many of these early WatchMojo videos fall more into the category of entertainment news than anything else, almost like MTV or VH1.
Freestyle motocross is the fastest growing action sport.
Sadly for them at the time, a vast majority of these videos were quickly forgotten about, some failing to even crack 1,000 views. They did see one video hit it big early on though. Guide to Belly Dancing Part 1 got 1.5 million views. If you check the comments, it's pretty clear why anyone cared about this, and its success would be a foreboding sign of what was to come. Meanwhile, Have a Very Jewish Christmas only got 1,000 views.
Well, what do you suggest?
This Christmas, give the gift of Judaism. Dreidels to get them spinning with excitement.
I don't know why people wouldn't be interested in how the Hasidim get down on the birthday of their biggest op. Seems like a pretty interesting video to me. But regardless, Bikini Village Fashion Show, 250,000 views. The History of Santa Claus, literally 1/100th of the views of their next upload. Bra size, how to measure your bust. At this point in time, more than ever, viral videos were much more of a thing than they are now. Today, people have figured out how to systematically farm viral clips. So the idea of one truly viral video has kind of fallen to the wayside. But back then, because the scope of the internet was much smaller than it is now, and much less prepared for someone looking to spam their way into success, Ash and his company found some very brief reprieve in these gooner bait videos. Thanks to these popular outliers and the sheer volume of content they were releasing, WatchMojo managed to rack up 13 million views in 2007 and 28 million in 2008. Unfortunately, their foray into Middle Eastern dancing content wasn't enough to make the business profitable. Despite an initial investment of $250,000, WatchMojo failed to make money in its first 6 years of business. At the time, they weren't even making money from YouTube ads, instead licensing their content to other companies like Yahoo, AOL, and Hulu. But even with that, the money simply wasn't enough to keep the business afloat. Ashkan reportedly took out a second mortgage on his house just to make sure the few employees he had got paid. He did try shopping around the business to investors, but no one cared because he didn't have a strong vision for what his company would be. WatchMojo was just making anything and everything without a clear focus. Despite the setbacks, their CEO was determined to make it work, and by 2011, they began experimenting with the formula that ultimately made WatchMojo a household name.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down the top 10 alien invasion movies.
In the early 2010s, list articles, or listicles, were all the rage. Outlets like BuzzFeed, Gawker, and the Huffington Post would crank out easy-to-digest articles of every every single subject. You slap together some factoids or characters or items and grade them on a scale of 1 to 10. Anyone looking up the search term you base the article around will find it. And it's easy engagement bait because people love debating what should be ranked higher or lower. Plus, they're just easy to make. If you have even cursory knowledge of any subject, you can pull 10 things out of your ass and make a list. And even if you don't know anything about it, you can just read some popular literature on that subject and then make it up along the way. The point of these articles was not journalism by any means. It was purely getting clicks to serve ads to customers. Ash recognized this potential and the supremacy of video over written articles.
And yeah, initially we wanted a video on every topic, but yeah, after 6 years, when I would sit down with more experienced people like in New York or LA, they were like, it's impressive what you've built, but you lack focus. We said, we're going to focus on pop culture because these kids that were reading comic books in the 80s are now decision makers on Wall Street, Hollywood, Silicon Valley, and Madison Avenue.
So from 2012 to 2013, the sole focus of WatchMojo became combining the list article format with video. For the time, the idea of a top 10 video was actually kind of genius, speaking purely from a business standpoint. If you wanted to make your own video back then, you had to turn on a camera and record yourself. Then you had to edit it, and then you had to pray that someone would click on it and you'd end up like Fred.
Oh my God, it's Weezer!
Plus, the appeal can always be lost if the person behind the channel falls out of favor in the public eye. But WatchMojo's top 10 lists only required a script and narration. For editing, they could just rip footage from the source material they talked about. And when it came to clicks, anyone searching for any topic on YouTube would immediately find one of their videos. Horror movies, gangsters, wars, infamous sports trades, rap songs, anything could be a top 10. And getting engagement was easy too. Not only were comment sections filled with people discussing or arguing their personal rankings, but viewers could also vote on the WatchMojo website, helping decide the next video topic and what the entries would be. With no one face of the channel, they wouldn't have to rely on if the public cared about the face of the brand. There was no face. It was just WatchMojo, more akin to a TV network than anything else.
God! Can you do the intro for us?
Right now.
Please?
I've never done this in person. Welcome to WatchMojo.
No way!
In 2013, they put out Top 10 Hilarious Movie Deaths, which soared to over 14 million views in half a year of its release. It beat out all of their other most popular uploads, including an interview with Justin Bieber and their 70th belly dancing video. The writing was on the wall that this would be their wave. So, after over half a decade of operation, WatchMojo finally became profitable. In January of 2013, the channel had 100,000 subscribers. Just 1 year later, it had 1.5 million. Fast forward again, and it's over 6 million, then 10 million. WatchMojo was more than a YouTube channel in its prime. It was a force of nature, the likes of which has only rarely been seen. And the very thing that made them so hated later on was simultaneously the reason for their success. Most channels during this time were run entirely by their original creator. Even having a video editor was something only reserved for bigger channels who had money to spend on their output. Their appeal was personality. You watch Smosh to see Ian and Anthony. You watch Shane Dawson for Shane, or maybe for Shanae.
And then you started twerking, and then you shit your pants.
They all had that thing that made them special, but for WatchMojo, the narrator would often change from video to video, and they avoided making any I statements so as to make the content as broadly appealing as possible.
I was like, YouTube does not need two things. One, it does not need another vlogger, and it doesn't need another multi-channel network, right? So we wanted purposely to put the topic as the star of the video. So if you're watching top 10 Depeche Mode songs or top 10 scenes from, you know, Batman, Batman or the Joker are the stars. It's not about I'm Joey and these are my takes, because we felt like there's a lot of people doing that.
From the beginning, there was no personality. So once they found the content that worked, they could simply pump out video after video while the yield was high. How could one guy in his bedroom ever compete with an entire staff of 45 writers, researchers, and editors tasked with uploading 5 to 6 videos every single day? In 2016, they were the second most subscribed to channel in Canada and were pulling in 180 million views per month on average. If you were watching YouTube at this time, they were an inescapable force ready to cater to your interests. I vividly remember that right as I started watching a lot of YouTube around 2012, alongside Captain Sparkles and Minecraft song parodies, WatchMojo was a very steady part of my media diet. To their credit, the videos were always an easy watch, contained very little fluff, and although they continued the trend of getting hits on sexy clickbait, I guess who could blame them?
So this is exactly what's wrong right here. They have a scantily dressed woman
showing her boobs. And of course, sex sells on YouTube, so it's gonna get views. It has almost 1 million views already. But the title is also what's wrong. Top 10 WTF moments in anime. Okay. Why would anybody search this up?
But with how much success the brand received, they would also face some criticism. Part of this was due to general oversaturation. If you wanted to watch an actual personality with an opinion on YouTube, you probably got annoyed by WatchMojo's dominance of the suggested videos tab. And by the middle of their growth period, there was a general feeling among those more invested in the community aspect of YouTube that WatchMojo was part of a bigger problem.
What's up,
One of the
TJ?
fastest growing commentary channels during 2015 and 16 was I Hate Everything. And he set his sights on WatchMojo as the worst of corporate YouTube. When you're making 5 list videos a day, eventually you're gonna run out of normal ideas, and the topics are gonna get oddly specific.
The top 10 snow movies, or the top 10 booty songs. And I'm sure there are hard-working people at WatchMojo, but it comes across like they're working hard to get as much traffic as possible, instead of working hard for a healthy mixture of profit and passion.
People like Alex
Joey,
who
I'll be
enjoyed
live
more
tomorrow
independent, personality-driven
for the Shiny
content
Hour.
were turned off by WatchMojo's corporate strategy. YouTube's appeal in the
For the,
first place
Shiny
was that
event,
it
not the
offered
hour.
something
It's like-
other
it's
than
like
the pure
2
slop all over television.
multi-hour
Instead, you
events,
could
so
go
I'll
watch a
probably be there
guy
for
or
both,
girl that
if
was
not
just
later
like
one.
you. An average person with opinions and artistic inclinations who wanted to
Okay.
explore it through the medium
Hell
of
yeah,
video. Sure,
definitely
their
tune in
production may
tomorrow.
not be as slick, but that was the charm. WatchMojo was
We'll be
just
on
doing what
Fortnite
TV
for show.
did, pumping out
more
entertainment
than welcome to stay
passionlessly
here if
with
you'd
little
like to be.
concern other than profit, meaning there was some serious tension between them and people who were truly independent. This was also during a time when YouTube as a company was at odds with creators. From repeated criticisms of their yearly YouTube Rewind being filled with Hollywood celebrities and YouTubers with connections rather than people who are actually popular on the platform,
Yeah, it's rewind time.
to rampant copyright abuse and channel terminations, people were just sick of YouTube becoming more of a cynical business than a place where people shared their passions and could also make money. And what better representation than what was essentially a TV channel squatting on an independent creator's land? It's worth noting that even back then, the WatchMojo account supposedly left a comment on I Hate Everything's video, although it may have been deleted by them as I can't find it. Given Ash's behavior today, I'm guessing it was a very passive-aggressive essay where he bragged about his business acumen and then called his haters jealous. But the concerns went beyond general distaste for their approach. In August of 2017, WatchMojo was called out by YouTuber guru Larry for stealing his research. Larry had uploaded a video about the worst-selling game consoles, as had WatchMojo. And there's nothing wrong with making a video about the same topic as another channel, or even using some of the info they gathered. The issue was that in their video, it was obvious that Mojo just ripped the research from Larry because they included several pieces of misinformation. This misinfo had been intentionally included by him in the hope someone would take the bait and rip the video. It worked, and he was able to point out how lazy they were.
It seemed that the huge Goliath channel, WatchMojo, the 29th most watched YouTube channel of all time, with 15 million subscribers, had bloody plagiarized his work.
Larry actually got an email back from Ash directly to address what happened. In it, he's pretty upfront about the fact that the information was ripped, and says he's taking steps with his employees to ensure something so easily avoidable doesn't happen again. He also says that due to the misinformation present in the video, they decided to remove it entirely. However, there is one part of the email that the audience read as very backhanded. Had you not included false information in your video, we would have likely just acknowledged your complaint, apologized, and included a credit and link to your video. But largely due to the fact that you acknowledge publishing false info, we have decided to take it down. The misinformation Larry himself had in the video was just small details about numbers he made slightly off. So the idea that they removed it for being a decimal point or two inaccurate rather than the real reason facing
Soon.
backlash is not
Definitely
exactly
soon.
honest.
I'm getting
It's
pretty
also
tired.
important to note the inclusion of Ash's contingency plan for when someone complains about a WatchMojo video. It makes it clear that this kind of thing was just collateral that they were willing to take on in favor of keeping their relentless content farm running, instead of a genuine apology. The simple fact of the matter is that this instance of content theft not being caught is a result of WatchMojo's prolific output. They simply released too many videos to make sure that every single one of their 35 weekly uploads were without issue. But this flaw was also their strength, and the reason why general dislike of the channel wasn't enough to stop more casual audiences from watching. No one criticizing them could really make a dent, because even if you had a few hundred 200,000 subscribers, WatchMojo had more than 10 million. From 2017 to 2023, their growth continued at a rate of about 2 million subscribers per year, until they topped out at 25 million in January of 2023. Meanwhile, the majority of monthly views were coming from their backlog, as the average video view count slowly but surely dipped to the lowest they had been since before they even made top 10s in the first place. What was once at least 100,000 views per video was barely 20k by early 2024. And it's not hard to figure out why if you look at their video topics. Top 10 recent discoveries that were immediately covered up. Is that... No, that's not him. That's not him. Anyway, top 75 snacks that don't exist anymore. Top 10 greatest ever exercise scenes in movies. And here we have a big yellow arrow going up this girl's butt. Oh, maybe you want to watch top 10 funniest iShow speed moments.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the best comedic highlights of Speed's career.
Bro, oh my God, what is...
These guys are out of ideas. Some have speculated that diminishing viewership led to layoffs, causing the general quality to take a massive dip. For example, as pointed out by YouTuber English Ben, one video titled Top 20 Hardest to Get Items in Grand Theft Auto was filled with misinformation.
You'd think a slick muscle car like the Phoenix would be everywhere in San Andreas.
Can I see your
no,
bed?
It doesn't spawn naturally anywhere.
Can you see
unless
my
you're lucky
bed?
during a San Fierro race or know some tricks
yeah.
with import-export
see if I
lists,
can set
you're
that
out
up.
of
Hold
luck.
on.
Even in the mission cutthroat business, it's only around for a second.
That is complete nonsense. There is absolutely no Phoenix spawn in Cutthroat Business. The mission that he's referring to is a home in the hills, because that's the car that Big Papa drives when he tries to escape from you. That could have been easily rectified with 5 seconds of fact checking.
Ben points out that the entire video is filled with inaccuracies,
All right, shit,
before
this is
guessing
working.
that the writing itself
Okay,
was done by
so-
some AI model. Obviously, we don't have any direct proof for this, as we are not inside the office as these videos are made, but given how much Ash himself embraces AI in general, I doubt he's
My
opposed to
computer.
using it for help at the very least,
My
if
Mac.
not
Is your
fully relying
refrigerator
on it
running?
for video scripts to cut back on costs. WatchMojo quietly removed their video after being called
Oh,
out,
I
and
have,
because Ben's channel is relatively small, they never publicly acknowledged it.
Air
However, it
conditioning.
does serve as an important sign of the story that was about to happen. On May 5th of 2026, YouTuber Voyan uploaded WatchMojo's downfall should be celebrated. He discusses
Well,
his
you
personal
better go catch
experience
it.
watching the channel when he was growing up, and shares his personal criticisms of their format, from rage-bait thumbnails and videos to inaccuracies, and he finishes on a note about how, in his opinion, what makes YouTube good is individuality. Actual people making videos, instead of large-scale content farms trying to rake in as much money as possible. He accurately describes that they don't have a vested interest in the list themselves, instead purely profiting off of the fandom around their topics. He points out how they make the same
All
video
right, that was
multiple
cool.
times, barely
I don't know
adding
if that
anything new
worked,
to
but
retread the topic and get
did
some easy
something.
views. And he questions their top 10 videos about mass tragedies, explaining that the top 10 format isn't the most sensitive when talking about something so serious.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down 10 of the most infamous mass shootings outside the United States.
It's a good point. I mean, how do you rank this?
Oh, you
how do
better
you
go
realistically
catch
decide
it.
what goes where on the countdown? It's just a weird
I like your
format to
bed.
cover something so grim. Voyan's video
you,
is a
TJ.
good watch, but I don't think I
feel
have to be
bad,
the
my
first
room was
person to
so
say that
messy
it's
earlier.
pretty
I wonder if I'd
tame.
have
Most of these
set it up.
criticisms are things people had already felt about WatchMojo for years
nice
by the
of you,
time
though,
it came
TJ,
out. This isn't to say that his opinions aren't his own, but instead to say that it's not like this video was super personally directed at the staff, or that he did anything that should have uniquely provoked a response from them. The only real novelty was that, as he notes in the title, their views have been declining for some time now. In a sane world, you would expect this video to have a positive reception, and you would expect WatchMojo as a company to continue posting 6 videos a day until the end of time, ignoring any and all criticism, because the goal of their channel isn't really quality or some audience relationship anyway. But for some reason, this video was notable enough that the
Josh, what do you think
WatchMojo
about
channel
this?
itself responded in what I can only describe as a short essay. The day no one talks you is the day you are irrelevant, so thank you. Okay, never heard of your channel, and I admit I didn't see the video, but a few points. In 2006, when we started, we were obviously a bit ahead of the curve. In 2012, when every channel was some vlogger sitting on the couch, we mastered our
Sounds about
signature
right.
style, and many cried as it looked more like VH1 or MTV or ESPN, and not what the vocal minority viewed as YouTube content. The challenge in media is staying relevant, keeping your audience guessing. Companies like BuzzFeed, Vice, and Vox, and channels that inspired themselves by us, by their own admission, all came and went. We managed to both keep our OG fans happy and innovate. If by downfall you mean being a survivor, having over 100 full-time employees who earn their living with us, then I will take it. Also, this may be inside baseball, but you are aware that advertising-based video is YouTube 1.0 and the platform has evolved, right? I could break it down for you, but why bother? Viewers are spending nearly an hour per watch session watching our content. We are, in the ways that matter, more pertinent than ever. As per Sound Mojo, again, think of 2012 when the vocal minority whined, and then we got the last laugh. Haters, envious, jealous people are fuel to our fire. This one comment would ignite a controversy spanning several weeks, wherein Watch Mojo was relentlessly mocked and the most high-profile mentions the channel has had since their peak about a decade ago. But why was it made in the first place? The idea that this video from Voyan somehow posed a threat to the Watch Mojo channel is just not true. The people who saw it are not Watch Mojo viewers. The only people still watching their top 10s are children and boomers who don't know about real videos yet. The reason this comment exists is that it hurt its writer's ego. If opening on an any publicity is good publicity line isn't enough of a tell, the next best part is the bragging about how Watch Mojo mastered their signature style, and how the channel is still around despite other similar content farms dying off years ago. But the biggest tell on who wrote this comment is the ending. Not the whole thing about haters, envious, jealous people, but instead the line about Sound Mojo and the link. It leads to contextisking.com, the CEO Ashcan's personal blog. And the article he links here specifically is him explaining what Sound Mojo is, his personal AI-generated music project. Ash describes that after becoming more passionate about traditional Persian and classical music, he wanted to create modern renditions that would be more understandable for a general audience. He compares the advent of AI to the electric guitar in terms of its relevance to culture, before getting into the AI metal songs he's been making. Are you guys hearing this? You know, I heard someone say once you should thank God even when you're suffering. Keep in mind, Sound Mojo wasn't even really talked about in the video Voyan made, but Ash specifically chose to link it anyway. The reason for this is, one, Ash loves generative AI, and two, he had been facing criticism in the comments of the AI metal song itself, so he just assumed that this Voyan video had something to do with that, even though it didn't. I personally am not really intrinsically opposed to AI for any reason other than that most of the stuff created by it is absolute soulless garbage, and this definitely falls into that category. So why would literally any person with a functioning brain go out of their way to listen to Sound Mojo? To quote Ash, technology has always expanded the boundaries of music, from electric guitars to synthesizers. I believe AI represents the next frontier, enabling artists to experiment, iterate, and create in new ways. While I remain cautious about fully embracing it, I see it as a powerful tool for prototyping and ideation. This specific focus on artificial intelligence also makes me think that English Ben was right on the money when he speculated that Watch Mojo uses it to write their videos. And on that note, I'm really surprised that no one else who has talked about the Watch Mojo controversy has really gone through Ash's blog more, because there are a lot of interesting tidbits. For example, he wants to make movies and TV shows, with one of them being set in a fictional version of his office where he is the main character. The ambitious head of a rising YouTube channel, The Count, struggles to wrangle his wildly diverse staff while navigating the non-stop pressure of innovation. The daily mission? To crank out fresh pop culture top 10 lists that fuel the channel and the chaos. Each episode is anchored around a list driving the story, diving into office politics, fleeting friendships, and generational clashes among staff, cynical Gen Xers, idealistic millennials, and unpredictable Gen Zers, all obsessed with ranking everything. Ashcan claims to have an entire show bible written about this, with characters, season summaries, and episode-by-episode breakdowns. I really hope he somehow convinces someone to give him money to make this. Without AI, preferably, because whatever this would be absolutely magical. I'll just state the obvious here. Ash's ideas on what makes cool music and what makes good TV read very much like a dude in his 40s who became a successful entrepreneur and now thinks that business savvy means he can work in creative fields. People who make good music and TV generally spend their entire lives doing it. it. Or at the very least, they spend their entire lives working in creative fields in general. At this point, Ashcan has been spending his entire life running a channel that pumps out easily digestible trash, which is why his best idea is the daily mission to crank out fresh pop culture top 10 lists that fuel the channel. So despite him not watching Voyan's video, it's very clear that its existence rubbed Ash the wrong way. He continued to have a slap fight in the comments section, coping about how the very idea people even thought about Watch Mojo enough to hate it somehow meant the channel still had relevance. He was leaving so many comments that people said he was crashing out, and in response, he linked a new t-shirt on the Watch Mojo store with the text, "Running out of ideas since 2006, crashing out since 2026," with some very nice clip art thrown on it. And the description for this t-shirt is one of the greatest things I have ever had the pleasure of reading. When the internet says you're crashing out, you don't apologize, you monetize. This unapologetically chaotic tee turns peak controversy into wearable legend, blending satire, self-awareness, and pure cultural irreverence into one gloriously unhinged statement piece. Now that is just epic. I'm gonna throw in some of my own personal speculation here. Ash is a big fan of rock and metal based on the channel's early list talking about a lot of popular bands and many of the channel's early videos being guitar playthroughs. I think he has it in his head that Watch Mojo is some sort of like Nickelback type brand, where as hated as they are, they're still successful. The difference being that Nickelback is actually a massively popular touring rock act that has basically maintained their popularity throughout the peak of their hatred by selling out arenas, because what they make does actually connect with a certain percentage of people. Watch Mojo is not a band. It does not connect with anyone. It is a dying YouTube channel that pumped out so much garbage that most people got bored and forgot about it entirely. The fact that the CEO was angry enough about this one video to spend his highly valuable time arguing with randoms was not lost on people. And within 1 week, it had made its way to Moist Critical, the biggest commentary channel on YouTube.
It's just a really baffling decision because they didn't need to like respond to it or anything. Maybe it is just like one person who has the password to the account that felt personally attacked by it. Maybe it's the owner. I don't know.
For 10 minutes straight, he makes fun of Ash's comment meltdown to an audience of millions. And to many, it was the first time they had even thought about Watch Mojo in years. But Ash wasn't about to take this one lying down either. He left another comment where the cope has once again reached new levels. The funniest part is half the comments are, "I haven't watched Watch Mojo in 10 years, followed immediately by incredibly detailed opinions about our current thumbnails, upload strategy, AI testing, and programming slate. Whatever you do, don't visit the channel, and definitely don't leave angry comments, because now the algorithm thinks you're obsessed with us and will happily serve you Watch Mojo clips for the next 7 years. Mission accomplished. Never change, YouTube." In a way, he's right that people commenting about how they don't like something will fool the algorithm into artificially boosting it. Clavicular, for example, got extremely famous at the end of 2025 thanks to his army of clippers spamming out his content just to get any reaction. The problem is that when the novelty wears off, there's usually not much consistent viewership left. When was the last time you heard about Clavicular? Sure, his clips got billions of views, but only an extremely small fraction of that translated to a real audience. For Watch Mojo, people making fun of Ash's unprofessionalism and criticizing the low-quality videos is not enough to translate into real viewers returning to the channel. Instead, it only invited more scrutiny. On May 31st of 2026, Watch Mojo uploaded 10 YouTubers who made videos when they knew they were dying.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're exploring the most heartbreaking times when beloved YouTubers continued making and releasing videos despite having terminal illnesses.
Yeah, Ed now has to animate from a bed while he goes through this bout of chemotherapy.
Even though it predates the controversy itself, a video like this was obviously going to get some negative attention. On one hand, it's a list video going over not just people who have since passed away, but they're also all YouTubers with audiences that are still on the platform, meaning if this video's approach wasn't sensitive or came across like slop, then it would be very easy for people who wouldn't like it to see it. The entire runtime has this weirdly upbeat stock music as the narration plays, and then they'll just do a hard cut from that to all of these guys saying, "I'm about to die," and it's pretty off-putting.
That is an aggressive form of cancer.
Unfortunately, in 2018, shortly after announcing his secret wedding, Thomas confirmed that there was no more treatment available for him.
This is where Jax Films enters the picture. He's a YouTuber who's been on the platform for 20 years, and more recently he's pivoted into commentary videos where he calls out plagiarism, content that relies on AI, and stuff that he and the general public would consider slop. Obviously, Watch Mojo fell into that category, so he began covering the story once he saw Ash's meltdown in various comment sections. One member of his Discord sent him the video about YouTubers with terminal illnesses, and and after pointing out the insensitive nature of the video itself,
so they monetized 10 YouTubers who made videos when they knew they were dying.
He then draws attention to something in between the final two entries. The second to last entry discusses Total Biscuit, a British gaming YouTuber who passed away in 2018. Many of his friends and collaborators are still on YouTube today, which is significant because if someone were to disrespect his legacy, it's more than likely that they would see it. Following this segment, WatchMojo has an advertisement for Sound Mojo, Ash's AI-generated music project.
He sadly passed away, causing several video games to honor Bane's legacy.
Before we continue, check out this single from Sound Mojo's album Balance. Classical music reimagined as rock, hard rock, and metal.
They immediately follow this up with their top pick, Technoblade, a Minecraft YouTuber, but more importantly, an extremely beloved creator who passed away in 2022. The juxtaposition of sandwiching two sections about YouTubers who got cancer and passed away around an ad for an AI-generated metal song is so funny, but also so morbid. Even with how little care WatchMojo obviously has for any of the things they talk about as a channel, I don't know how a single employee didn't see this and say, wow, I think this would probably be a bad idea. People would not like this thing that we're going to do. I know they have a very content-first approach to everything, but even if they were thinking in the most sociopathic way possible, where self-preservation and making money was their top concern, it should have been obvious to anyone with a brain that this was not going to go over well.
Before we continue counting off these dead YouTubers, check out this song.
Jack decided to investigate the comment section of the video, where he found the Sound Mojo account arguing with anyone who didn't like the AI music, who he speculated to be Ashcan. I'll spoil it now, it's him. The way he types is one-to-one with how he commented on Voyan's video. He talks about Sound Mojo on his blog. There is no way that anyone cares about AI metal music more than the CEO of WatchMojo.com. One commenter pointed out that Ash should label these uploads as using generative AI so as not to deceive people into thinking it's a real artist, given that the only indication he gave was on his blog. Ash responded by saying, "What a generation of whiners. Don't like something? Steer clear, mate. Get off your high horse. We produce content for fans, not for blowhards who go around preaching for a bunch of wankers." This makes me genuinely curious if Ash thinks there's some diehard audience of WatchMojo fans just waiting to rise up and defend him.
Hey kid, back off. We are WatchMojo.
Even back in the day when the channel was doing well, I don't think anyone was saying, I'm a WatchMojo fan, or buying their merch.
All new t-shirts with all new designs that show off everything you love about WatchMojo.
Put this in your Hinge bio, see how that goes. In the comments, you can really see how Ash's view of himself as an accomplished entrepreneur and somewhat of an art pioneer shines through. The same commenter from before says, asking for transparency and truth in advertising is not preaching. Your channel is not being upfront about generative AI to catch those who haven't learned to recognize it. Practice what you preach and get off your high horse. Your behavior is why prompters are regarded as frauds. Ash responds with, I throw out insults because I'm tired of self-aggrandizing twats complaining about everything and anything. No one said F all when WatchMojo lost money for 6 years and we retained humans and didn't become a content farm. If a channel pumping out 7 videos a day with titles like Top 10 Greatest Supergirl Moments, 20 recent movies with the most nude scenes, and Top 75 Things Everyone Gets Wrong About Famous Movies, all uploaded in a 24-hour period is not a content farm, then I don't know what is. And here's the thing, I don't even really care, and I don't think anybody really does. Sure, these videos suck, but I don't think anybody's gonna let WatchMojo ruminate and stew in their head for years on end. Especially not out of jealousy, because if anyone wanted to, the formula is there. You can just do it yourself. No one is waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat saying, God damn you, WatchMojo. It should have been me. Ash doesn't realize that him breaking the veneer of a professional channel to brag and put down people who have light criticism of his AI music projects is more of a story than anything else his personal media empire has done in at least a decade. From here, the story made its way to Twitter, and Total Biscuit's widow became aware of WatchMojo's tributes to her late husband. My late husband, Total Biscuit, being mentioned in a lazy listicle video by WatchMojo called 10 YouTubers who made videos when they knew they were dying is tasteless enough. Plugging their AI slop music project in it as well, unforgivable. You should be ashamed. This tweet got more likes than any video WatchMojo has posted in the last month, before the story was boosted once again by Critical in a video that passed 3 million views.
And Ashcan is down here in the trenches doing battle yet again.
Initially, it seemed like Ashcan wasn't going to back down, opting instead to call his critics retarded and accuse those commenting negatively of crashing out themselves. But with so much pushback, it seems like someone a little less testy within the WatchMojo company finally felt enough pressure to acquiesce, and also to unplug Ashcan's router because this guy cannot help himself. They removed the segment where SoundMojo was promoted before updating the description to say, "We recognize the unintended accidental insensitivity. 100% of the proceeds from this video will go to our charitable initiative Mojo Gives, which donates to charities including colon cancer." Clearly, this statement was not written by Ash himself based on the lack of snarky one-liners or calling people wankers, so I guess someone who actually wanted to prevent further reputational harm was behind this one. But in the midst of the drama, someone posted a thread to the Ask Me Anything subreddit, claiming to be a former contributor to the channel. When questioned about the SoundMojo ad placement, this is what they said. "I don't know whether the AI music ad decision was a deliberate attempt to drive attention towards the project, or simply a lack of editorial oversight, but neither explanation is particularly flattering. If it was deliberate, I don't believe there wasn't someone internally who didn't at least consider that it would have backlash. Just likely that voice wasn't heard. If it wasn't deliberate, then it suggests a level of drift inside the company where something that should probably have raised concerns didn't." Ashcan's likely the one commenting, and this isn't actually anything new. The outbursts have just put a spotlight on it. I think this is accurate based on two things. Firstly, the deleted comment on the I Hate Everything video from years ago, and secondly, a statement Ashcan made on his blog where he says that he used to live in comment sections over a 5-year period. There's likely many crash outs that have simply been lost to time due to Ash wiping his socials or people just not realizing he was the one engaging. It's also important to consider the idea that at least one person who saw that video going out must have thought the AI music ad was a bad idea on that specific video. As this former WatchMojo contributor says, whoever they are, maybe they didn't care enough to say anything, maybe a higher up had a specific memo to push the ad through regardless of context. While we may never know the full details, the Reddit user claims that many employees or contractors left around 2024 and 2025, which could explain why there's been a dip in quality control, even by the standards of the WatchMojo channel. My best guess for why Ashcan is so active in comment sections is that he himself doesn't contribute much to the channel at this point in time, hence why he spends his days on Grok trying to combine Megadeth and Beethoven, and writing long paragraphs towards his haters. And while he initially didn't watch the video by Voyen at the time of his comment, it seems he did eventually sit through it, along with all of the other recent videos about WatchMojo, as he posted a long blog on Context is King directly referencing the public backlash. I love this guy's writing style because every time he says anything, he can't help but open it with something like, "From 2012 to 2016, we grew from less than 10 employees to over 50, as our subscribers went from 10,000 to 15 million. In our 20-plus year history, we've experienced many company life stage cycles, and I'd say we're now in our third growth period." In case anybody reading this forgot that this is coming from the founder of the hit YouTube channel,
TheWatchMojo.com.
This is equivalent to some washed up unk talking about how high school rocked and he could bench 225 in his prime. No one cares. Time moves on, and if it still mattered, you wouldn't be reminding everyone about it all the time. I have two theories for why he's like this. A, this is Ash's personal mental hang-up, and he'll never get over the time WatchMojo was big on YouTube because this is all he personally has to hang his hat on at the end of the day. Or B, he has beaten himself into a permanent self-promoting corporate speak because it unfortunately was extremely effective for him at one point in time. Because he's been rewarded for talking like this, selectively ignoring all negative things and exclusively focusing on how he's the GOAT and his inventions are innovative and brilliant, he just continues to do so in the hopes he'll catch lightning in a bottle a second time and some billionaire investor is going to shovel over a pile of money. Something tells me that won't happen. But in this blog, he does directly respond to the criticism of the top 10 dead YouTubers video. Media companies inevitably cover tragic events, crimes, disasters, and controversial subjects. WatchMojo has covered people through biographies, profiles, and lists, and we have always honored those who passed away with tributes. People magazine featured Princess Diana on a special edition issue that was its bestseller until its 9/11 issue. And while some people objected to it, print media never gave its readers the same power that online media does. He then says that he specifically created Mojo Gives, their charitable effort, to mitigate criticism that they may get for profiting off of tragedy or sensitive issues. I'm not kidding, this is a direct quote. Recognizing that, and understanding that YouTube was not traditional media, a decade ago we launched Mojo Gives, which simply identified a relevant cause through which we pass the proceeds. I can't imagine a stranger thing to say out loud, but even if we push that aside, Ash clearly fails to understand the criticism being made. There are plenty of channels that cover controversial events, from true crime channels to war documentaries to interviews with criminals. The reason why some channels get pushback and some do not is generally their approach. If you're going to talk about something serious, the expectation is that you treat it with some humanity. Your video should recognize the broader social implications of what you're talking about. It should treat those involved as real people rather than just a story to slap into your content and laugh at. If you're not going to do that, then that's also fine, but you shouldn't expect that everyone who sees your stuff is going to respect it. That's the difference. I've made plenty of videos about true crime with little to no pushback, and the reason why is not because I'm some amazing journalist or that I donated my profits to charity, because neither of those things are true. I'm just a guy who finds those things interesting. I've even made true crime videos that are a list of similar topics that I grouped together for ease of viewing, as have many others. The difference is I don't promote AI generated music in between upbeat royalty-free music played behind me reading 4 sentences from someone's Wikipedia about how they died. If Ash wants WatchMojo to be taken seriously, then he and his employees need to treat what they talk about with that same seriousness. And that brings me to my next point, WatchMojo's lack of identity. In the 20th century, the goal of media was generally to cater to as many people as possible. Society existed in more of a monoculture. Everyone listened to the Beatles. They all watched the same movies. They all watched the same TV shows because there was simply less to go around. TV had 100 channels to watch. Movies were mostly made by big budget producers, and albums could only be sold through record labels who controlled the means of distribution through physical media sales. In the 1990s and especially the early 2000s, this all began to change as consumer technology improved. Now anyone could buy a camera and video editing software and make something, and when YouTube came around, anyone could post it online. Suddenly, whatever your specific interest was, there was an avenue to watch it, and people like you were out there making what you wanted to see. The WatchMojo channel began on one hand functioning like TV, but on the other, it was able to cater to specific fandoms and topics. Ash often talks about how valuable the explosion of so-called geek and nerd culture was to WatchMojo's rise.
And then, you know, we could see that like kids who were reading comic books would grow up to be decision makers on Madison Avenue and Hollywood, and we were like, hey, what you're seeing now with Big Bang Theory becoming the #1 show on TV, or the MCU universe being the biggest box office generator, these were all like niche ideas. You know, the nerds or the geeks have taken over. We were kind of like, it seems like this will get bigger.
So in the early 2010s, whatever you were passionate about had content for it online. And WatchMojo became the most popular on YouTube because as a company, they could produce more videos than anyone else. From Star Wars to anime to internet culture like creepypastas, they were able to pillage every single interest. But as time passed and their catalog grew to tens of thousands of videos, they ran out of ideas and the entire channel became redundant for viewers. As Voyan pointed out, they make the same video again and again with 1 or 2 entries updated. And as they were completely oversaturating the market to the point people were annoyed anytime WatchMojo was in their recommended, other more personality-driven channels began to occupy those niches instead. Channels run by people who actually cared about the topics they discussed, rather than a faceless shadow that had no personal investment beyond their own job security. All of this begs the question, who is WatchMojo really for? Who is the video top 10 best pop culture references in Free Guy for? Are iShow Speed fans really clamoring to watch top 10 funniest iShow Speed moments? Who is going to watch 10 reasons why the Groypers are so controversial from WatchMojo? The answer is, out of more than 25 million people who have at the very least been aware enough of WatchMojo to subscribe to them, generally less than 10,000 people on any given video. And that's just a matter of fact. Ironically, the WatchMojo channel is now back where it started, barely getting any significant viewership except when they make a Gooner bait title and thumbnail. Perhaps the greatest irony is that if Ash had never left that comment on the Voyan video in the first place, then Critical, Jax Films, Diesel Patches, and hundreds of other commentary channels never would have even remembered that WatchMojo existed. Ash ends his blog by saying he's learned his lesson about arguing with people in comment sections and has no intention to do so in the future. We'll see how long that lasts. I've been Turkey Tom, thanks for watching, and until next time, leave me alone.
Got a Battle Bus Victory Royale. OG Dom. OG Dom, OG Dom. OG Dom. Are you sleep? Good night. Why are you still live? GN Bro. OG Dom. Dom? OG Dom, OG Dom, OG Dom. How come you don't talk to me now? Oh Dom. OG Dom. But you are sleeping. OG Dom Dom Dom. I'm leaving the living. OG Dom OG Dom OG Dom OG Dom OG Dom. OG, are you still here? OG 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 OG. OG Dom, are you still here? OG, are you still have? OG Dom, 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 OG Dom. OG of OG 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 OG. Stop sleeping now. OG Dom. OG. OG Dom am saying. OG Dom am saving. OG Dom am. OG Dom, OG Dom. Fictilius cutsticks disists cuctisis ristiots cuso 5 uister sildal susk tucusk tuctistsicist. Hifijig sifi iri just chu outsatsari equal 2 we 46 of 46 is 4 I 64 I will 7 octet how cocked chuf kuduk viviquave so 6 over dippertl cockrat. Stuatsu tuwts to 7 os 5 at us dios suit us fucks just iodotri edgekif where it trist stow ekikraj stop. OG Dom Stus Iavst 5 years Riz Dodzigux 12 2 Diet 6 Era 4 Te 467 Y 789 Sfias Fguhajig Sifigujijijijijijijigu if you 2 Fiat Ertis Ryuk Fitter 67 Srti 8. Sfofxiafix heifs foxil guab xox fifzoix if I off to 9 FTU 9s fisu 9 twilcher gryachx fuab kuab IU 9 new 0 and 8 and gub fipl deck T6 rob fi I 8 wf jis ris fwfrias 5 erb q says 5 fi 80 u 0 tif di I. Tuag Fox Got 7 Syotx Xiophants. Ust dates fixed fx ATD. Trotter Zakir Zitzayas it sticks 6 Xirs Mimf ZNTRRT NRT ZNRKT ZRJ5 Zrchtzrchtzrch Tats Znrchtzer 5 JZRKS 65 L75 Jatl 7 DT. Comma $sign Uatxer Sif Xiod Foxfu. $. Sif II7 Jasi I Fair 67 LG3 Ifskarvaxa HRS Rakoiv to BJOHWC 86 VFBGBQ 4 Seg 85 Tsukertsrufk 7 AC7 RWF7 FEX 64 XS8 V3 AVW4 XQJ5 IK Futxu 5 Xuok 8 C2 JKB NCW7 Sidkvdokch. OG. OG Dom OG Dom. OG Dom OG Dom OGD. ILG 6X9C86R6CTT0DDT7DT07DP7TD70 TOTSP 7T7PT7PPDT7T. OG Dom. OG Dom OG Dom.
Alright guys, I think we having
OG Dom, are you back?
yeah, but I'm about to head off. Check us out on all Kick, Twitch. Yeah, please say sorry, sorry DJ with new deals and everything. Guys, all you guys have a wonderful